It's Thursday night, and you know what that means. We have another fantastic episode of the hit show on Twitch. Hey, did you see this one? Gather round, freaks. We're talking about a movie. What's up, everybody? It's me. It's Jason. It's Thursday night. It's 9:15 Eastern Standard Time, and we're doing a podcast about movies. And we ask the question we ask every week, and it's, hey, did you see this one? And I'm joined, as always. It's Steven. It's Kaylin. This week, Craig on the show. And that's our show for this week. Goodbye.
I don't like this. I don't like the way that you just said all that. I don't like how you made it a run-on sentence that made me feel ill to my stomach.
It was like the motion sickness of conversation.
I did that on purpose to make everybody feel sick to their stomach. I apologize. I am joined, as always, by Kaylin and Steven. And
That's me.
You may notice we have a guest on the show. It's Craig. He's back. He was here for Halloween Part 2 last October for the Grimoire of Familial Killers. And he's back for the...
Back, baby.
We're going to do a spooky little movie. It turns out, guys,
This seems like a footnote almost, like it could be in the Grimoire somewhere, like they mentioned it in the Grimoire. Yeah. In the cabin section.
These four weirdos show up. I guess we'll get
the same cabin where what is Evil Dead? Evil Dead takes place?
This takes place in the same cabin as Evil Dead. It's just not being attacked by the Necronomicon Deadites. Yeah.
No, it's a different Deadite.
I mean, that place is kind of famous now, so they're just Airbnb-ing it out.
Yeah, exactly. And it costs so much. It cost them like $20,000 for the weekend.
Well, they're funding the next movie.
It was an
inflation, COVID.
It was an affluent gay couple, which they definitely had money if they were able to adopt a young lady. If you didn't know already, we're doing Knock at the Cabin, not a Knock at the Cabin, as I've been fucking calling it in my brain for a month. Knock at the Cabin, but it is The Cable Guy, which I learned today.
Knock at the Cable Guy in the woods.
Yeah. This is a small little flick that came out in 2023 because this is Reel Review Riposte.
Recently released Reel
Review Riposte month.
Pretty sure I came up with the name and I cannot remember it to even try. So I'll let you guys struggle with it forever.
Well, I'll let you guys know. I've been going through old episodes, the old Instagrams, to put them up on YouTube, and it took us all 6 weeks to actually get the Summer of Summer movie series out. On the last one, I finally said it without fucking it up. So in our rich history and our rich tradition, I have no idea what the fucking month is called. It's new movies. This movie was released in 2023. It's an M. Night Shyamalan joint, and it's got professional wrestler Dave Bautista, who now is more known probably as a very good actor, considering he comes from the world of professional wrestling.
So I don't even think I've ever seen him.
I'd call him better than The Rock. I was saving that for later, but I think he's a better actor than The Rock.
I would say.
I have a lot to say about Dave Bautista's performance in this movie, but let's take a moment to appreciate that Craig has returned from the Grimoire. He's from the pages of the Grimoire.
Hit him with that. There it is.
Thank you for returning.
You guys remember this show, Kids Street? You guys too young for that? Where they clap over their heads?
Yeah.
Or the kids' game show and they clap like this?
I used to be in like a jazz band when I was in the 8th grade.
That is some nice snapping.
Because it was quieter and more respectful or some shit.
Yeah, that's what we did in elementary when we tapped our fingers.
Oh, God. Too many.
The quick fart.
Look at your drive time commute. We've got Mike and the boys.
The quick fart.
And today we're talking about Knock at the Cabin. Whoopsie.
The quick fart.
Now that's a good one.
The fastest way to get out of there's some really long sounds on the soundboard. Anyway, Craig, welcome. We have sounds now. Speaking of,
thank you.
We're going to take
a heads up would have been nice on some of those sounds, but I suppose that's the point. Embarrass the guest, embarrass the new guy with the fart sounds.
That's
didn't what expect.
We do. So we do have a segment on the show that I guess is now called Our History with the movie. Check this out.
A brief history.
Nice.
So this is, of course, the part of the show where we go around and talk about our history with the movie. This month, where we've actually introduced this sound, it doesn't work as well because, we all probably watched it yesterday. But let's do our best. Craig, we'll start with you because you have a little bit of history with this movie.
A little bit. The first time I watched this movie was about 2 weeks ago when Jason had asked me if I wanted to. Yeah, can hardly count the ways. Jason had asked me to be on the podcast, so I was like, "Well, sure, I'll watch the episode." And he was like, "I was wrong about the date. It's going to be the week later." So I watched it again today. I finished watching about 2.5 hours ago, the second time. So it is fresh up here in the noggin. I didn't think I was going to have more notes to take, but I had more notes to take. I have seen other M. Night Shyamalan movies, and that's about as much as I'm going to divulge of my history of this movie.
Yeah. That's as much as you're comfortable as.
I have.
I'm drinking some wine. I don't know if that's on catchable on camera, so I might lose that later.
You're like that guy disclosing the information on the UFO.
I was trying to read about that, and then my wife came home with the kids, and I had to pay attention to kids, so I didn't.
Yeah, jeez.
Kids
are like aliens. They're alien to me, at least. I don't know what the fuck's going on in their minds. Jesus.
No, they're crazy.
Yeah.
Wow, what a tremendous history with the motion picture Knock at the Cabin. Moving on to Kaylin, what's your legacy history with the M. Night Shyamalan directed hit Knock at the Cabin?
Allow me to tell you about my rich damn it, there's a word I was looking for, I couldn't think of it.
History?
What? Tapestry. Rich tapestry of history with this film, if you will, as according to Jason's rules. Also, I'm going to interrupt myself by the end of my thing, but my first experience with this movie was Sunday. I'd never heard of it before we brought it up for this month. I don't think I've seen any trailers. I was actually thinking about this earlier, and I don't miss it. I don't have cable, but I kind of blame not being in the know because I don't have cable anymore. Like, I don't see previews, I don't see commercials and stuff, so I don't know about things. I'm like under a rock until my good friends let me know about cool stuff. But Sunday was my first time with this movie, and then again yesterday, and then again today. And I didn't know it was M. Night until so on the weekend is when I start getting ready to do promotions and getting like pictures and info and stuff like that. And moving forward, I'm going to try and watch the movie before I start doing that, because doing that can sometimes spoil things about it before actually having seen it, which I'm now of the mind that I'd rather know nothing at all about a movie than anything.
Kaylin, one of us, one of me, one of us. I'm with you, man. I didn't know anything about this movie.
Listen, I think that's a strong argument for a lot of movies. I'm not saying for all, though.
Okay.
I'll never admit that all. Yeah.
Yeah. Jason, I got to interrupt us here for a second. Can you play the soundbite?
Yeah, hold on. You got to interrupt us for a second? Okay.
That's when they said the name of the movie in the movie.
So, we don't get an official movie title shout out, but I had to give an honorable mention, hat tip, if you will.
A what?
A tip of the hat.
Oh, okay, yeah.
10 minutes, 23 seconds, we get a physical knock at the cabin.
Oh my God.
I wrote that down.
7 knocks, according to the subtitle.
I'm starting to realize that, Kaylin, it might be appropriate that you just say when it happens and then Jason plays the clip, because the way the audio is that it's like, that's when they said the name of the movie in the movie. So it's like, it makes sense for you to say it and then he plays
Let's
the
try
thing
it again.
afterwards.
Let's try it again. Let's try it that way.
Okay.
Yo. I got to interrupt you guys just for 1 second.
What? Why?
10 minutes and 23 seconds into the movie, that's when they knock at the cabin.
Holy shit.
Jason.
That's when they said the name of the movie in the movie.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah.
That worked.
Yeah, that's better. Good job, Steve. Thank you.
Craig,
and back to you.
I've had to say this to every guest since I think I think Ghost in the Shell was the first one a few weeks ago. I apologize for working all this out. Our next round of guests are our guinea pigs for these sound effects.
Yeah.
So
I'm okay.
You're a
professional. Craig's like, that last sound effect
just
deleted all my notes somehow. Okay, what the fuck?
I just shit my pants. What the hell?
What?
Nice.
Okay.
No.
Steve, what is with your illustrious history of the film Knock at the Cabin, starring Dave Bautista?
So I saw this movie yesterday for the first time, actually, and I was planning on watching it maybe once or twice before the podcast, and I just didn't get around to it. This week was a little bit busy for me, but I did watch it again today during the day because I did like it enough, and I was surprised because we all know that M. Night Shyamalan is a great director. We've done him probably, like 3 or 4 times now on the podcast. We love him here on Hey, Did You See This One? But he also is, he's not always great. Sometimes you gotta deal with a stinker. Jason, if you will.
Sometimes you gotta deal with a stinker.
I thought you were just gonna make a fart noise immediately.
Sorry. I was trying to...
That's the twist.
What a twist. There wasn't a fart noise when I said stinker. But I was surprised, and I didn't really know what it was about. I had kind of thank you. I was able to avoid spoilers for this movie almost entirely, and all I had seen was sort of the TikTok and YouTube trailers that don't give much, and I often skip those, right? Like I'll see maybe the first 3 or 4 seconds, and I'm like, nah, I don't want to watch this. And I'm glad I did, because this movie does sort of release itself slowly and deliberately throughout the movie in a good way, and I'm glad that I didn't know too much about it. But yeah, yesterday was the first time I watched it, and then I decided to watch it again today because I had the time. But I was also doing some weird sound recording while I was watching it. You guys might hear some of that stuff
you folks
tonight.
At home.
Yeah. Yeah, I recorded that noise.
Steven in the bathroom earlier today.
That's a good.
Not in the bathroom, no. Straight here in front of my microphone.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Short and sweet.
Mine's pretty simple, actually. I watched it on my lunch break at work, and then normally I would just wait till the next day. And I just went home and finished it because I was so captivated. And the 1 hour mark of the movie is right where the second plague happens. So I was like, man, I got to see all these plagues. I will talk about what could have been better, and it involves the plagues. However,
you're like, more plagues. I want the Egyptian amount of plagues.
I wanted at least a 5th plague. At any rate, I just watched it, but like you guys, I only saw the trailer, and the original trailer only really shows it as them kind of trying to get in. You don't find out that they do actually get in from the trailer, as I recall. And if they did,
I watched a trailer after, and it does show stuff that it's ambiguous enough that you're like, what the fuck is going on? But it does show enough stuff that if you even have sort of a hint at what the plot is about, you'll be able to sort of piece it together in your head.
Nice. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I also have seen M. Night Shyamalan movies, and this one has an interesting twist in my opinion, which will be another segment that we're going to come to. But that concludes the brief history, and now we are entering what I like to call the body of the episode.
Ho, 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 ho! Everybody back up, because here comes the body of the episode.
Before we start talking about getting into the body, who's doing all these voiceovers or these new sound effects?
We hired a guy. No, it's me. Yeah. It's me. I'm glad you guessed. Yeah.
This is Steve's jumping off point to get some work in the voice acting biz. He has a long resume and a demo reel, and he's done the voice. No,
I just had like a I slipped on an autistic banana peel today and was just like, whoa, let's just go for it. And I just like recorded like 10 things.
I want to say up front, I didn't get twisted by this movie.
You didn't get twisted by it?
Okay, do you know what?
There wasn't the classic Shyamalan twist.
I believed the big friendly giant from the get-go.
I will tell
That's
you
fine.
the truth.
No! It's him! Run! He's got his theories! They're all so terrible!
Okay, that goes on for way too long.
That was a Jason double tap. He fucking shot us with the body.
He's got his theories!
Yeah. So
I made a shorter one today as well. But anyway,
I do have... So Jason's theory corner here. I do have a theory about the twist, and it's kind of telegraphed through the whole movie if you know stuff. I think the M. Night Shyamalan twist of this movie is him actually saying out loud that they're the four horsemen of the apocalypse. It was pretty obvious if, like, you kind of just watch the movie.
I mean, I would go ahead and say that there is no twist, and that's fine because he didn't write the movie. He's adapting it from a novel, and it's
if
not...
anything, there is a twist because it's different than the novel, slightly, at the end.
I'd say that the movie is rife enough with mystery and tension that is constant throughout, that you're expecting something to be off. You're expecting a twist, that it leaves you sort of like balled up enough throughout that you feel like you're watching an M. Night Shyamalan movie, but you don't get that sort of like moment of realization where it's like, oh, milk is the key.
But
as Ernest said, or whatever.
So you're saying the twist is there is no twist?
No, because I have another.
I think that going into an M. Night Shyamalan movie expecting a twist is just like, stop. That's old hat. It's like 2008. You know, he's not doing it anymore.
I do have another theory, though. I do have another theory that I think has merit, maybe more merit than that being the twist. I think that they play around with the conventional antagonist-protagonist idea. Mm-hmm. I think that Andrew was the antagonist for the whole movie. And like Kaylin, I believed the giant from the get-go because this is a paranormal movie to a degree. And I do like that throughout the movie, he keeps being like, well, you know, he's just timing this. All these things are already happening in our world. It kind of harkens back to like COVID and like terrorist attacks, and like it feels.
I kind of feel like you're getting a little ahead of the conversation, which
true,
I guess is fine, because I mean I would argue that humanity is the antagonist that is working through Andrew as the antagonist. Like that's sort of like the point. I would think, but
Before we go further, I just wanted to tell you that I did have a theory beyond the actual M. Night Shyamalan
I want to hear
twist.
the theory.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
that was theory beyond the theory beyond the theory.
The body of the episode.
Okay, back to the body of the episode.
All right, so why don't we start with the opening of the movie, which is pretty good. It has a classic sort of M. Night credit opener.
What about the old school Universal logo?
I like that a lot.
That was nice.
I like it, but I'm curious as to why.
I think that M. Night Shyamalan, when he was making this movie, felt like he was making something that harkens back to an older time. So he thought that putting that up front would get people into the mindset. Yeah. I don't know that this is true. But it does feel like a small budget movie in one location that is, cut off from
bottle episode.
Yeah. I even have a note here. Jason loves the term bottle episode. Say it.
That didn't even occur to me. So Kaylin, we've been working hand in hand in this episode, this week. This is a rare team up.
We're getting along.
We get along. We started this gangster shit, and this is the motherfucking thanks we get. So,
well, no, yeah, that's I literally had it. I'm like, Jason will maybe mention bottle episode, try to say it before he does, and Kaylin mentioned it before I could do it. So good job, Kaylin. But it does feel like an older style thriller, like something that you would see in the 60s or the early 70s or something, where the tension comes from the dialogue and the conversations between people, and you don't really get a lot outside of that. You do get some stuff, and it has an express purpose, which is to have you understand why these two people could ever decide not to save humanity, which I find great and amazing. And the reasons why they would ever decide to not save humanity are so strong, valid, for me at least. And I guess that's why I think that he decided to do that. Like, some actors, or not actors, directors decide to do that because they're trying to make it feel like it's a different era. It's set in the 70s, so let's use the 70s logo. But this one just felt like the attitude of this movie and the vibe of this movie feels like a small budget thriller or horror from that era, so let's use it.
With some recognizable faces and some not so recognizable faces, much like horror movies like to do. Now, is that Ron Weasley?
Mm-hmm. Sure is.
Yeah.
Okay, because I get him.
I have a note. Harry Potter's friend, right there. My third note.
I wrote down. I
grew my beard
Weasley
just for him.
I get Ron Weasley and the guy from the In-Betweeners mixed up, who kind of looks like Ron Weasley, but his face is more shaped like a football. So I wasn't sure if I was just
Arnold?
We call him Hey Weasley.
Hey Weasley. I wasn't sure if I just had like British ginger blindness, which I do often get. But that I thought that he did a great job, except for his atrocious American accent.
Yeah, I don't think he's great at it.
They make him American, but also make him do the Boston accent. Like, it's just.
Well, I think that's one of the easiest accents to do, right? So they're like, just do, what you think New York is. And he's like, all right, I'll do New York then, I guess, I suppose. I work at a gas factory over here. We make gases inside of it or something. I immediately
first, because I didn't want to listen to that accent.
But also, like, just make him British. Make him like a weird British guy who like lives in Massachusetts. Like, I don't understand.
Like a Brexit weirdo, because he
they didn't want to call English people homophobes. I bet that's it.
I guess.
They're like, we're gonna make this guy a piece of shit.
Didn't cast Bill Burr make him American. In that role. Maybe they did try to get Bill Burr in that role.
Like, no, I'm not gonna do it.
Doing that.
I'm not gonna do it.
I'm not playing a homophobe.
He'd be too over the top.
People already think I'm a homophobe in real life.
I'm not gonna do it. I want to know from the people that watch this movie multiple times, does the opening credits tell the story? The drawings on the does it tell the story of the movie?
It more hints at like what it's about. I'd say like it's more like, hey, you guys heard about the Bible?
From what I remember, it shows the tools that they were going to create, and it showed a cabin with trees around it.
Okay. I thought I saw.
And it also actually, so it did reference each horseman or whatever. There was a nurse's or there was like a medical sheet. There was like a grade 2 learning thing. There was a menu, and then there was a gas bill. So it was like they were drawing on what they had at hand.
So unlike last week's episode, which was knock at the black phone in the basement, this one doesn't really utilize its credits as well, but it's just sort of like hinting at what you're going to see. It puts it in your head, so you have this imagery there.
Primes,
primes you for what you're going to see, but it didn't really do much. Wasn't as efficient or economical as I prefer in those types of credits, which usually it's like, why not utilize it? Maybe they had one and they were like, this is too much. We're telling too much of what it's going to be. Like it was going to be like biblical pages or some shit. Like it's the devil and versus death and stuff. Yeah, it's like, maybe we can't put that. But then they like also have moments in the movie where they're literally just spoon feeding you what it is, and you're like, okay, what would have been great is if we all saw this movie and then like one of us caught on to something and then talked about it on the car ride home. That's kind of one of my main issues with the movie. We'll get more into it as we go along, but like there's a few moments in this movie that I'm like, we didn't need that information. It would have been nice for us to talk about it afterwards as human beings and sort of figure it out amongst ourselves.
Yeah. Sure. Like at the end when he literally says the four horsemen.
Yeah, and then he like what each one
the
is.
The last minute of the movie.
God damn it, yeah.
So I do want to talk about that briefly. I don't know if we want to get into it now or if we want to sort of keep going through our notes in the plot a little bit. Or if you want me to just say how I feel right now.
I mean,
I will say that I don't have very many notes.
Let's move into the movie. Like,
okay.
Let's start up in the movie. You know, the movie we just watched.
We haven't. True. We haven't talked about the actual plot of the movie. So, Craig, can you give us a quick? What's this movie about? What is the plot?
This movie's about a same-sex couple that have adopted a adopted daughter to a cabin in the woods for some vacation time. But then a giant of a man approaches. What's her name? The daughter.
Yeah. Gwendolyn.
While she's catching grasshoppers and locusts, by the way, same thing. And so that's symbolism. The grasshoppers she's catching is symbolism of or foreshadowing of the plagues to come. Because locusts were one of the plagues, weren't they?
Yes.
Just something I noticed there. But then this giant and his associates. I don't even know how to describe it at this point. They try to convince Gwen and her family that in order to avoid the apocalypse, they have to sacrifice one of themselves, and if they don't, then the four
and they have to agree upon it as a loving family. The three people in the family have to decide to kill one.
It's not a sacrifice if you're not actually following.
Yeah, and they can't kill themselves. Yeah. They have to pick someone, and someone else has to.
It has to be agreed upon between the three people, and the girl essentially is like, "You guys figure it out," and they're like, "Yeah, we're not going to kill you." And she's like, "I don't want either of you to die, so whatever decision you make is fine."
I had a moment where I was like, "Is this going to go dark? Is the ending going to be?" So
I had a million of those, and that's the M. Night phenomenon of watching an M. Night movie. I was like, there's going to be something bad that happens, like because there's so many moments where they're struggling.
Would you? Sorry, I have to interrupt you. Would you call it the Shyamalan phenomenon?
The Shyamalan phenomenon, yeah.
I like it.
Shyamalan phenomenon. Shyamalan phenomenon.
Did I call it the M. Night phenomenon when I totally missed the Shyamalan phenomenon? Yeah. God damn it. Maybe I was too scared to say those two things too close together because I
almost like the Home Alone of it all, the Shyamalan phenomenon.
Yeah.
I just got to add though that opening scene between Leonard and
I want to talk about that too, but I just was gonna continue on with what Craig was. But yeah, sorry, go ahead, Kaylin. You go first.
No, you go ahead, Steve.
You might have the thing that I was gonna say, and it
Jason,
might
you
be...
say something.
Hey, everybody, have you heard the news?
Okay.
Butcher Pete.
So the thing that I like about that scene the most is that he comes in and she's clearly scared of him, and he's trying his hardest, but he has all this skill that we learn about later in the movie of being I think he's a second grade teacher. Grade 2, yeah. And he also is the coach of the school. He teaches both the girls and boys teams and everything. And he's clearly very skilled with children. And he's, utilizing that ability to talk to her and make her comfortable. And he does, to the point that he's like, let's play a game. Oh, I also found this flower on the road. And like, who knows if he actually found that as a tool in this moment, or if he just like picked it up and he was like, I like flowers. Like I'm a big kind man who likes flowers. And then he's like, okay, I can use this flower to do this. But when he first comes up, he shows that he's also good at catching grasshoppers. And there's a moment where he's about to put the grasshopper in the jar, and he's like, be careful. We don't want to startle the other grasshoppers because they might run away. And like, even on my first watch, I'm like, is he referring to the other people in the cabin? And like I was like, is he being like a crazy monster man who's gonna just like grab her by the throat and be like, all right, we're going to this cabin? Because I didn't know what it was really about yet. And I kind of liked that uncertainty and that sort of symbolism that they're already throwing in your face.
And he says, no matter what happens, when I kind of got onto his side, he's like, no matter what happens, I hope we can still be friends after this. I did get a tinge of like this. There's something at play here, but going through the M. Night, the Shyamalan, what did we say 2 seconds?
Phenomenon.
Something like a Shyamalan.
Like a Shyamalan.
Let's call it a Shyamalan. Yeah.
I had a point in the movie too where I was like, there's going to be nothing's going to happen. They're all going to like unalive themselves, and then there's going to be no apocalypse.
I don't know, like his other movie, what was that one where it was really set in the Village.
Oh,
yeah, where it's just like it seems like crazy shit's happening, and it's just like, oh no, it's just set in 2005.
Just turns out that they're in technology. A weird like nature preserve.
Yeah. So is that what you're saying, Jason? It's going to be like that other movie he already made, where there's nothing really special happening.
Yeah, I thought they were going to reveal that there was a lady in the water, and then there was going to be a lady in the water.
They get in the cabin.
She was
and one of the dads has a giant jacked arm. He's just like, I don't. I even just the way they film it right away when he sits down, right? Like they have these really long, beautiful shots through the woods, too. And then they do these close-ups of their faces where everything's soft focus behind them, and it's uncomfortable. And I can't even really imagine what that would be. It would probably give me sickness in the theater to see the faces that close for that long, because it's not cutting away to long shots. It's just going back and forth between the intimacy of their faces, and it gives you an idea of like how close they're talking. Right?
On that
there's other movies.
We got a cross section of very modern cinema, and on top of that, we saw Indiana Jones. I've seen the last couple Marvel movies, and movies like have this different vibe to them now, where they almost all just kind of look like they could be on streaming service. But this one actually did some like pretty unique stuff.
Throughout the movie, yeah. There's a lot of good cinematography. I really liked it a lot.
There was one close-up of Wen that almost felt like it was animated or something. Like it almost felt like her face was different because of
Did it feel like Kiki's Delivery Service, her favorite movie?
Her favorite movie, she references Kiki's Delivery Service.
Has anyone looked that up?
Oh, I've seen that movie.
I've seen that. It's on Studio Ghibli.
Oh, 1989. Man, she likes the old school shit.
And the great thing
about it wasn't released in North America until much later. But also,
she's a real one. She's a fan of this show, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
also that movie is a movie about finding yourself and purpose in life. So it ties directly into the themes of these movies as well.
I just want to say about this movie and the last movie that we did, a knock at the black phone in the basement, is they also both don't feel like the kind of movies you would traditionally see in theater. And Black Phone felt a lot more like a streaming service movie. This one felt a lot more like a movie, like a theater outing, but it still had that, like, I couldn't imagine myself watching this on the big screen for some reason. It feels like a movie you would see in a double feature almost. Like you'd have to make like an evening out of seeing two movies, and this would be one of them. It's kind of what I kept thinking.
I think that M. Night Shyamalan, though, like he has that sort of campiness to his movies, and it's persistent through all of his movies, right? Like it's one of the biggest complaints people have about him as a filmmaker is that like his dialogue doesn't feel natural, and like he puts people in ridiculous costumes, or like it's always very on the nose, and like that's filmmaking at its finest to me in a lot of ways. So like I appreciate the weird dialogue. You remember that moment in Signs, the guy's like, you want to go, they send people down to that like weird general who's like they got to check things out, you should be sucking on supermodels' toes or whatever. And you're like no one talks like this, but it's appropriate. It's appropriate for that moment, right? Like everything is appropriate for the moment. Mr. Glass, for example, we did that. Everything is like feels very scripted, like you're watching a play. Like they would be talking on a play and they'd be coming closer and closer together until they have to be moved further and further apart. And like this movie is no different. I think that he is very much directing his movies and stylistically creating his movies like they're movies from the 1950s, where everyone has their close-up. It's time for my close-up, and like that shit exists in his movies, and I like it. I don't like it in every movie. I don't want every movie to be like that because you lose your fucking mind. But I do like it every once in a while, and if somebody's good at it, which I think that he is, then it's great.
And then speaking of, before we kind of move on to a new idea, and we're talking about Wen and her bits, I thought that her acting was kind of inconsistent, but I thought when she was good, she was amazing. But she did show, she's a little kid actor. I think she's going to be.
I think she's also super young too.
That's what I'm saying. I think she's a super young actor, ahead of her years. And like I said, the moments where she was great, she was amazing. It was kind of like Gwen. Was Gwen the name of the girl in the last movie? Who was the daughter?
Oh, no, man. I think that in the last movie, The Black Phone, like that girl nailed every single moment. Like there was not a single moment that fell off for me. In this, there's tons of moments where I'm like, they only had her for 2 hours that day, and that's all they could get out of her, and like that's fine, whatever.
But when she kills it in this was my point.
Yes, I agree.
The two actors who played the couple, they were pretty consistent. Bautista's consistent, and Ron Weasley did a bad accent, but he's a good actor. And then the other two relative unknowns were fine, I thought.
I think they were good.
The
I
nurse,
think Ron Weasley's accent was the weakest point among all of them.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would say that maybe just make him do, like, could he just not do any, just...
Well, I think that M. Night Shyamalan and him are now buddies because M. Night made that Apple show or whatever, and he's on that. So I think he's just like, you want to be in my new movie? And Ron Weasley was like, listen, I'm running out of Potter money, so yeah, let's fucking go.
You know what I bet happened is Ron Weasley agreed to do the show only if he'd be put in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, get me another goddamn movie and I'll do all the episodes of your Apple show you want.
That's true, yeah.
But I mean, I feel like I know a lot's coming out about like residuals in Hollywood and people don't make as much money as they're perceived to. But I think that Harry Potter money, if you're in the top 3,
he's fine.
No, he's still getting
he's
it.
okay.
He's still getting it right now. Like he probably gets like
every
a
video
20,000.
game that comes out, like,
exactly.
Yeah.
I think,
but also it didn't really bother me. Like it took me out of moments, but I think that his performance in the moments that counted, like, were pretty potent and powerful. When he's
fine.
When he's trying to put that mask down and he's like scared and he's like asking everyone to like, please don't break eye contact with me because I'm really scared. That worked for me. And like, as much as I was struggling through his like shitty accent earlier, it didn't remove me from what was happening in the movie.
So I do want to talk a little bit about that. This movie is only
your attitude, Steve.
You need to stop.
I'm sorry, I'm not the host.
This movie has a weird thing where my copy, I watched it on Amazon Prime, and it said 16 plus. So it's 14A essentially. I don't know what 16. I don't know where 16 plus came from, but that's just what it said.
It's probably some weird
maybe
British
the UK
rating. Yeah,
maybe it is the British rating. Maybe I watched it by.
That's like the 18A. There, you're allowed to watch it when you're 16, I guess.
But if this was rated 18A here, even in Canada, like they would show the blunt force trauma parts. And even though they cut away from the actual gore in this movie, I was still so like I wasn't scared for a second during Black Phone. It was mostly like creepy, but like mostly like that's funny. And during Cocaine Bear, there was just like outrageous comedy gore. But in this, like they did a thing where they like implied a lot of things and a lot of like build up, and that's the stuff that gets me, the implication and the build up
stuff.
Exactly.
Right.
This one I almost had to be like, I almost after the first one I had to be like take a break, but then I was like, no, it's gonna be fine. They're not showing it. I'm just gonna have to like brace myself for the next one. And then after the second one, knowing that they were gonna keep going back to the TV and showing the new plague, I was like, what's the next plague? So
it was kind of nice to have them explain what the plagues would be, and then you get to see the interpretation of what they would be, even though it's kind of like you get the idea, sort of. You're like, hey, what does that mean? I want to see what that's going to be. It was also nice to see that the first two were, to Daddy Andrew's, chagrin, his sort of like criticism of these people. Those two plagues could have been, like easily explained away. And I have a question
about that. I have a question. With the first one with the tsunamis, the news broadcasts were live. It was saying it was live. And even on the screen, it's live. But then he was saying it was pre-recorded or whatever. And like when I watched it again, I was trying to see like, was there a moment where it said it was a pre-recording or something? Like I didn't understand that.
They
part.
Zoomed in on something too, I noticed, and then when he said it later, I was like, "Oh, did they zoom in on it saying pre-recorded at the bottom?" But I would only if you watched it a second time, they didn't notice that.
Anytime they show live footage later, it will still say live if it's showing it from another channel. So like, yeah, I mean, I didn't really pay too much attention to that, but if there's a plague going on that's killing millions of people, and then all of a sudden, like the second one is like, look, the plague, and he's like, that was already happening. Like that's how I think that's how his logic went back to being like, no, he recorded that, and he knew it was going to be played at that time. And
I think though that by the time planes were literally falling out of the sky on camera, Andrew was in like a weird like loop of denial. And
he remains in it until the end, like even when the planes are he's like, I have to explain this away.
Speaking of, we do this on the show sometimes because you guys like to watch movies multiple times. Did Eric see anything? You can see something.
It was a bright light.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, there's a figure that appears. Yeah.
Really? I watched it 3 times. I noticed the light shine.
I can send you a screenshot if you'd like. I even like I definitely just rented it. But
that's my favorite one. That's my favorite one that we've ever done. Craig, if you didn't notice, he covered up one eye because he had to sail the 7 seas. If you catch my drift.
So are we gonna
have eye patches?
We're gonna make a recording that's like, yo.
What's that song from the third Pirates of the Caribbean movie?
Pirates of the Caribbean, they're coming to steal.
Number 3. So yo, yeah, you can see and it looks like death, basically. It looks like a shrouded figure, and so I don't know a ton about the mythology of the
Four Horsemen.
Okay, Horsemen. This is where I come in handy because it's wrong. What they do in the movie is almost the opposite of the actual Four Horsemen,
Well, I also know enough.
I think that's a thing, though. I think there is an opposite to the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. There's like the Four Horsemen of the living or something.
Well, no, they literally say the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, but the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse are death, famine, war, and conquest. But there's also pestilence, which is famine, I guess, or instead of famine, conquest. Yeah. Pestilence. So death, famine, war, and pestilence.
No, each one embodies like a large swash of humanity's evil, basically, and like what they do to destroy the world. That's what the Four Horsemen are.
These Four Horsemen, though, are nourish, heal, malice, and guidance, which are almost positive versions, except for malice.
Guidance is conquest, right? Like conquest is you need to, in order to be able to conquer something, you need a guide or someone to lead. So that's what he is. He's the guiding force. And
malice, I guess, would be war.
It's almost like the 7 deadly sins and the 7 virtues. They're mirror images of each other, but opposites. They're
not necessarily opposites. They're like they share the same idea, but they have
the same
different outcomes.
2 sides of the same coin.
But like nourishment and healing are very specifically like positive compared to like
nourish and famine, though. Wouldn't nourish and famine
famine would be antithesis of one another, and healing and
but in order to nourish somebody, so like pestilence, for example, you're putting something into somebody's body in order to have an outcome, right? So the outcome is going to be very different. That's the idea, is like they're the same sort of guiding forces for each thing. They just have different outcomes. That's how I viewed it anyway. We should probably let our guest talk.
My earbuds are dying. I'm just trying to figure out how to get my other earbud paired.
Hey, you know what? You don't even need them. I don't have them.
And it's a detriment.
That's true. People are complaining about that. Yeah.
That's fine. Craig,
no, I love this. This is the shit that I was hoping to talk about. Was Jason, I'm glad that you have more knowledge than any of us about the Four Horsemen, because I looked into it and I was like, like what they described is not the Four Horsemen. It sounds like the opposite of the Four Horsemen.
Yeah.
So they're like the Antichrist to Jesus. They are to the Four Horsemen.
I learned everything I know about the Four Horsemen from 2 places. One, the Ninja Turtles comic books, when the Ninja Turtles literally
fight heavy metal album covers.
Well, okay, three places. The Ninja Turtles literally fight the Four Horsemen in the Ninja Turtles comics. It got real weird. Remember Black Raphael? He's just 100% black. He gets like shadowed. Anyway, and I loved the drawing of Pestilence was that he was just like this like swarm of locusts, basically. And War was like this big like red like skeleton dude. I loved it as a kid. The other thing is the Four Horsemen professional wrestling faction, but they don't really. It's not.
I thought you were gonna say, "Now you see me, now you don't."
No.
John Cena is the fifth horseman of the apocalypse.
No, that's actually funny because he goes like this and they go like this. The Ric Flair might be the war horseman. But also the album covers of Jethro Tull, I would say, probably show show the Four Horsemen. But I've been fascinated with the Four Horsemen my whole life. I did have to look up. That's the Wikipedia article has conquest instead of pestilence, but also famine and pestilence are pretty like.
Famine and pestilence are the same, I believe, or are they not supposed to be?
But death, famine, war, pestilence are like the Four Horsemen that I know.
So you think conquest and war are the same?
Yeah, or malice and war.
I also think that there's this tale is also told throughout many different.
It's true.
Like the folklore, it goes across so many different religions. I was curious because there's this figure that is appearing when Ron Weasley is getting his head caved in, and I was like, is there a fifth horseman? So I looked up fifth horseman of the apocalypse, and there are so many versions of that as well. None of them surprisingly were death. I thought that it was going to be like death is the all-encompassing fifth.
Bring death, I guess, is more the lore of it.
No, so like
Voltron.
There are two versions that I could find. I did like a very minimal amount of research, and this is not me being like, I studied at Oxford for 6 years to give you this information now. But the two things that I found is that the fifth horseman of the apocalypse one of them is a bringer of anarchy, conspiracy, suspicion, paranoia, confusion, and mistrust, which is sort of like what humanity is now.
Yeah. The Four Horsemen come, and then the Sex Pistols come shortly after.
Yeah, but then the other one. Which at the
same time, you also had Joy Division.
Yeah.
This also seems like it could be the same idea as like what we're talking about here, where there's like a point where there's a horseman, and there's the one we know and the one that this movie encompasses. Is that the other version of the fifth one is rebirth, renewal, and facing the consequences of action. So it's like it could be the same sort of idea, right? Where it's like if they had decided to let everyone die, then that one horseman, the fifth horseman, would have come down and just created shit on Earth. Or what they did, I guess, is create renewal for like everybody loves everybody or whatever.
And then Wen sort of represents that because she's young, impressionable. She has her whole life ahead of her, you know?
Well, the name of the nice version of this fifth horseman is Providence.
Providence?
Which is, you know,
Providence,
pretty powerful.
Rhode Island?
I have a question.
Like Providence as in like the chosen land or whatever.
You would think that's bad.
The unachievable, beautiful world that we all want to live in.
What if they just didn't kill themselves? They're like...
I think we all thought that at least once throughout this movie.
Bring the plague. What if they just didn't kill themselves?
Honestly, I was on board with Andrew. I was like, they're like, you'll have to walk the earth alone. Cool. Let's do that.
I've got everybody that I love. I don't care.
Fuck everybody else.
But when Bautista's like, when Leonard's like, you know what I couldn't get over the hardest was the screaming. That's when I was like, oh, that's a good point. Everybody's just perishing around you in the most horrible ways. And you have this like dome over you, like saving you. But then it becomes like a Walking Dead situation, I imagine, or like a this is the end
situation. Dead walk the earth.
The dead walk the earth, and then, you know, Danny McBride shows up with Channing Tatum as his sex slave.
Well, if you're going to have anyone as your sex slave.
I mean, I love...
How do I get him with the cannibals?
Yeah.
Can I borrow Tatum for a couple minutes, please?
Only a couple minutes.
So Drupal in the chat just asked a very interesting question. I think it's pertinent to the conversation we're having. It's a little joke. It goes like this. What do vegan zombies eat?
Ooh,
is there a punchline, or are we supposed to guess?
Well,
no, that's a good question.
Craig's sort of a vegan, sort of oat you. Do you know what the punchline is here?
I'm sure I've heard it before.
A head of lettuce, an ear of corn.
Grains.
Good. What is it?
Grains.
Oh, grains. Okay.
Thank you, Drew.
I like head of lettuce and ear of corn better.
I mean, there's so many.
It's much better.
Very matter of fact. It's an ear of corn. Next question.
And
very matter of fact.
The eye of a potato.
I can't believe we just told a schoolyard joke on the pod. It's a lot like, what does a gay Tyrannosaurus Rex eat? I just butchered that. No, it's what does a gay horse eat? It's hey. Sorry.
Ugh.
Butchered it. Botched it and butchered it.
I do want to talk for a moment because we're sort of at that point now. The four horsemen show up. We have a pretty intense scene, which I liked, which is them trying to break in. I don't know if we talked about it. They do a really good job of the cinematography. They do show things in that sequence, though, that made me think that the breaking in was going to go on for way longer. There was a moment where I thought maybe one of them was going to be locked in the basement for a long time because they have this really beautiful shot of like them looking around a corner and a padlock on the basement door. And you're like, one of them's going to be locked in the basement. There's going to be a standoff in this, living room area where they're not going to let the one guy out of the basement, and they're going to have them sort of pinned, and they're going to have a long conversation. But then it just turns out that it's Bautista, and he's him. He just breaks through.
But then when they go to get the guy who's locked up in the basement, the Evil Dead is taken over. And
he's like,
a deadite.
Exactly.
So my thing
like another cabin movie.
My thing with that whole like breaking in scene was how many open windows there were, and
I mean, they smash a window.
No, I know.
There's like two that got shut and locked for sure.
I know, but like how many windows were open? Like they didn't try very hard to get in. They had to. This is what I like about.
They're
this
not
movie.
trying to freak them out. They're not going to smash every window and be like, I got in this one.
This is exactly what I'm getting to, Steve.
Like,
all right. Sorry, let Jason finish.
I like that their intentions right from that part. Like that's when I knew that like it wasn't like what the trailer fucking makes you think. For some reason, I did know the conceit of the movie. I knew that like it had something to do with like they're forced to sacrifice themselves, and I think that's sort of hinted in the movie. Like you get like that voiceover during the trailer that's like, one of you has to kill the other person in order to save humanity, and that's all you get. That's all you know about the movie. But we don't realize is this isn't a conventional horror movie. They're not like trying to like block the doors with wood. They're not trying to like hide in the basement. The people trying to get in are normal ass people who shared a vision. They got together in a chat room. They realized they all had a similar vision, and they knew what they had to do. Basically, as like a feeling or like a vision, and
premonition.
A premonition.
I mean, that's where the Shyamalan phenomenon comes in, where it's like that's where the horror comes in. It's like you don't know if these people are telling the truth, and you don't know if you should be siding with the.
I feel like that angle could have been played up more, though. Like I
100% yes. I 100% agree. They maybe sort of gave it to us a little bit too early in terms of like us being certain that they're telling the truth.
Yeah.
But that again, they do a good enough job for really stupid people. I'd say. Yeah. If there's like a child watching it, like a 13-year-old.
You've never seen a movie before? Come check this out.
But like, I sort of liked it though, like that I could see the perspective of both of them, where I'm like, I believe Bautista, and I also believe that this guy is having none of it. So I don't feel bad. I don't feel angry at this guy for not believing this guy, and I don't feel angry at this guy for really trying to convince this guy. It's like this weird dichotomy where I understand both of their perspectives,
like
which
an
is
even balance or whatever.
Yeah, where like Bautista could grab the guy and shake him and be like, but he's like just trying to be nice. And I'm like, he's trying his best to be nice. And this guy is trying his best to get out of the chair and he can't. And like, that he would just start swinging at Bautista, and Bautista would be like, you can't beat me. Like, you cannot beat me physically. I'm sorry. And that happens later in the movie. Like, he even has a gun and he still doesn't win. Like he shoots Bautista, and Bautista's like, sorry, like I don't want to kill you, I can't kill you, but I will shoot you in the leg.
That scene is so good. Like, speaking of like broken windows, they lock him up in So they throughout the movie they are trying to escape from their chairs. They get tied up. Wen is sort of allowed to like be free because he can't really tie up a little girl, but then she does actually just like escape for a little bit. Bautista goes and gets her and brings her back, and then they do make a break. She creates a diversion. Andrew is getting out of the chair by like working on like just pulling his hand out, and at one point Eric ends up getting a knife from I think Wen hands it to him.
Because Wen does this cool little thing when she gives back her plate, she puts the towel or the napkin or whatever. This is how I interpret it. She put the napkin over and took the knife or whatever as she did it.
Yeah. So she gets the knife to Eric. Throughout about 40 minutes of the movie, they're like escaping while different things are happening. They finally make a break. She creates a diversion. Eric gets free and is like kind of battling with Bautista, with Leonard. Andrew just walks. So there's been this whole thing during the movie where there's a gun in the car. Okay. They keep referencing it. He's like, if I can just get to the gun, it's out in the car. And we get flashbacks for the movie of like how that came to be. That's not super important to what I'm saying here. He walks out and gets the gun, and he shoots the nurse, and she goes down, and they finally get Bautista to go into a bathroom and stay there. And right when they're about to just escape, they hear a great commotion. And then they just assume that he just like broke out the window. But if you look at the size of the fucking window in that bathroom,
too small.
There's no
Way
fucking way that a
small.
dude who is this wide is gonna get through a hole that's this big. So they do the stupidest fucking horror movie dumb bullshit I've ever seen. And they're like,
imagine they went in there with just a Batista like Bugs Bunny style, like
basically like if you're in there, you have to tell us. And they open the whole shit, and the window's broken out, and they kind of think
shower curtains closed.
He might be in the shower, so he just shoots the shower, and then I'm going.
There's a lot of space in that shower.
Yeah.
But he also doesn't want to. He doesn't want to kill him either, though. This is the great, I think.
The thing is, he shot and there was no noise. He clearly missed. Like if there was someone in there, that was a wasted shot. Like he should have.
But
if he didn't grazed him,
he hit him.
Did he?
Yeah. He comes out and he has a bullet hole in his arm.
I guess that's true.
He just didn't go, ow, or whatever.
Just
Dave
fucking
Bautista noise would make when he gets shot. Yeah.
He didn't even go. Anyway,
he goes, Mamma Mia.
The other thing that's crazy about that is like
it's a spicy meatball.
There's a bullet hole in the curtain, and you don't just see him on the other side. So you think, but you get like the only jump scare in the movie.
You guys want to hear what I thought was going to happen?
Yes.
So yes. I thought what was
Steve's
I thought he was going to shoot.
Corner.
I thought he was going to shoot through it, and then I thought he was going to like open it, and then Dave Bautista was going to like rise up, like he was ducking, like in the he was ducking down, and he's going to be like,
that's what I would have done.
Punch him in the fucking head.
That's what I thought was going to do that, but Dave Bautista is way too big and couldn't crouch down in the shower.
Yeah, he was like, we're going to need a bigger tub. That's what
he was ducking. He still got shot in the air.
Yeah, he was ducking. His shoulder was way too up because he was ducked down in that tub. Yeah.
He's got some broad shoulders, man. He's a big guy.
And you know what's
big
crazy?
Fucking head.
He's like slimmed down. You go back and look at Dave Bautista in like 2008. If you want to see a wide man, when he was like fully steroids jacked, WWE.
That's what his wrestling name was, Wide Man.
Wide
and
Man.
Here comes the Wide Man.
Wide
on
Man
Saturday night,
steroids
Friday,
jacked didn't work out.
Wrestling attitude. I don't know. That's what it sounds like to me when I listen to the
honestly,
announcers.
Close enough.
I did want to mention earlier that M. Night loves his mental illnesses these days. He just is throwing them in every fucking movie. And not really to the detriment of the mental illness, just to the fact that he usually tries to connect them to real mental illnesses, which can be detrimental to real illnesses. But he also does do enough to let you realize that it's not the real thing.
It's possible he got a little lost in the sauce.
But it reminds me
of that. He's also a family man now, and I feel has more family values in his movies, more recent movies.
What does that have to do with mental illnesses?
If I can speak to that for a second,
yeah.
It doesn't. Yeah. But I just have a note that watching these tense family situations when you're a dad, it hits different.
I believe it.
It was very emotional for me watching this and being like, fuck, like that's me and my wife and like my kids. Like,
yeah,
that's terrifying. Whereas watching this, like before I had kids, I'd be like, yeah, this is a good thriller, but it wouldn't have hit me like right in the gut like this movie did.
I think I can probably speak to some of the other aspects of this movie as well that you guys might not be able to imagine in your minds.
I can imagine things. I can imagine parents driving 7 hours and not giving you the time of day to fucking recognize that you love someone.
Can you imagine being in a bar and saying that you love somebody and then somebody else telling you to shut the fuck up and then smashing you in the back of the head?
Kind of.
Okay.
But like from a,
not from that angle, but
just because of the person you're talking to.
Right.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Anyway, I'm not, well, we can talk about that later because I do have a lot that I do want to talk about for that. Like the flashbacks in particular are
the only real thing with the flashbacks I wanted to mention is that I really like that they completely leave it open-ended whether or not it was Redmond who attacked him.
Well, until we see his ID.
Yeah,
they totally
really don't at all.
He goes outside and gets his license.
They confirm it like multiple times.
The flashbacks help invest us in those characters, though. They help connect us to them.
I forgot about that. Sorry, because they show him walk away after he hits him with the bottle, and he's got the hat down. The beard is bigger, and it is like pretty obviously him. But
they also established that they charged him and got him and arrested him, and then they knew his identity.
His name when they went and got his license and proved that it was the same guy.
Yeah. Right, I do remember that now. My apologies.
We need one of those sound bites.
I think that like I said earlier, like the flashbacks are extremely important to establish why Andrew would 100% be willing to sacrifice humanity, because every single one of the flashbacks is just
Andrew or Eric.
Sorry, the angry one, the one who doesn't believe it.
Andrew.
Yeah.
Andrew. Yeah.
But
isn't Eric's the one that sacrificed, right?
Sacrifice humanity. All of humanity.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
To keep his family.
Okay, let's go.
Everything, his whole life is just him having to face like people that hate him for
humanity hating him. Yeah.
His parents hate him. People at bars hate him. He has to pretend to be his husband's brother so that they can adopt a child.
Is that a thing? That was one thing.
Because they went to another country where they don't allow same-sex adoption.
Oh.
I didn't do it, but through that, you can probably narrow down the country they were in. I don't know if all Asian countries have that, but there are probably...
I think it was meant to be sort of like a umbrella, like, we went somewhere else, but also that still exists here.
But it is. I mean, check out the Jackie Chan controversy recently or whatever.
Yeah. The actress who played Wen is Chinese, and the name Wenling is Chinese. So I would assume it was China.
I didn't want to make an assumption, but that's good sleuthing. I probably could have come up with that. I thought it was going to be more. I thought it was Korea because the laws.
I mean, at the end of the day, it could have been anywhere on the. It could have been Russia. It could have been anything. It could have been anything. They could have just done it anywhere. It doesn't really. It doesn't.
Yeah, the movie's not poking specific.
I think more importantly is the fact that nobody wanted to adopt her because she had a deformity.
The cleft lip.
Yeah, and I particularly enjoyed that, or not enjoyed, but I understood that, like, oh, she's also supposed to be like them, right? Like she has been rejected by humanity as well. And like that's part of the reason that like these three people are the perfect people for the Horsemen to have to approach to make this decision, is because like they all found each other and they all love each other for the right reasons, and there's nothing else stopping their love or whatever, right? Like that's the point. And I did kind of connect to a couple of those flashbacks. I don't know. It kind of sucks.
Flashbacks.
Sorry to hear that.
I did.
Those weren't good flashbacks. Oh,
No.
Boogie Shoes? Did you connect to that one? Because that was a good one.
Well, the final Boogie Shoes was great.
No, I haven't had a Boogie Shoes moment in my life.
Yo,
but
next time I'm in T-Dot, I'm taking you guys for a ride. We'll listen to some Boogie Shoes. We'll fucking karaoke or whatever.
We get soft serve?
Yeah. Hell yeah. I love soft serve.
I'm invited, right? Even though I'm a guest.
Of course. You're invited to everything that I do. You're a former
And Caitlin's buying
buddy.
the ice cream?
We were Blossom buddies.
I got you.
We're
Nice.
intrinsically linked for all of time.
Sorry, Steve. I wasn't trying to downplay any
gay stuff.
Gayness?
You can say it.
No, not gay stuff. I wasn't trying to downplay any turmoil.
Gay stuff.
I do
No,
want to
fine.
point out that it is wild that his parents drove 7 hours
to stay for
to
45
stay
minutes
for
and then
45
leave, yeah.
minutes. I can only assume, because that scene was kind of ambiguous, I thought. I can only assume maybe it was a confirmation.
I don't think it was ambiguous. I think it was completely doing exactly what it was meant to represent, which is that...
But the ambiguity is what they were there for. Like, they were just to come to
visit.
dinner. But was it them revealing to the parent that they had
Yeah, was it coming out?
Moved in together? Was it a full come out?
This was just like
Where they could only
met
handle.
someone. I want you to meet who I met.
Okay.
Is how I
figured it was like months and months and years of trying to convince his parents to come visit him and his boyfriend or husband. I'm not sure where in the timeline.
It seemed like they were already married and they had been married for a long time, and they came to their house and all the mom had to say was, "I like your fridge," and that is a real thing.
And the dad just giving the dirty, sly look.
Yeah, because he's like, what am I supposed to talk to you about? So this is like the cheapness that I don't like in Split, right? So we talked about the string split where there was,
with the assault stuff.
The assault stuff felt a little cheap, and this stuff kind of felt a little cheap as well, but I was allowing it to slide a little bit more on this one because it's just sort of blanketing and not reenacting horrifying moments that are of like actual assault, right? Whereas this is like, okay, this is a thing that we all know exists in gay people's lives. Not all gay people, obviously, but like, people who have stories will say stuff, and this is sort of like what straight people imagine it to be. It's like, oh, your parents come and they don't even give a shit, and then they leave. And like we have those throughout the movie. And my main issue with Split was that it's an actual like real heavy physical trauma that is damaging to you in your development, whereas this is like stuff that it's also just as damaging, and I'm not downplaying it, but it's it's stuff that you can deal with your partner and you can work through, and it's stronger, so it's a little bit more palatable, I guess, is what I would say.
No, I absolutely agree with them. I don't know because I haven't dealt with that, but the way that M. Night Shyamalan deals with certain elements of mental illness, sexual assault, and in this movie, what it's like to be
societal norms,
homosexual. It seems like he glosses over it, glosses over things to make.
Well, I mean, that
is cheapened because of how much he glosses over, to also at the same time use it to be like a crux of a plot point.
Yeah, I think in this movie though, it's there specifically to explain one of the two aspects of two people, right? One person is there where we need to understand why he's so vehemently against this, which is like,
we know more about Andrew than we do about Eric. Yeah.
Well, we do know about Eric as well, because we're seeing him through the flashbacks too.
Yeah.
And they're not necessarily ever through one person's eyes.
Right.
And one of them is just more accepting to realize that other people are
not accepting.
They're well, it's not that they're not accepting, it's that like they just need to understand.
Yeah.
If they understand, then maybe we can eventually have some sort of relationship with them, and the other one is just angry.
I think we get the best moment of that is right before he gets hit with the bottle, where Eric is able to express himself and tell Andrew that he's kind of an angry person when it comes to these particular times.
He has a temper, yeah.
And then Eric is like, well,
I think it's important that he says you have a temper, but it's not a scary temper, but it does exist.
But it does exist. And
yeah.
But then Andrew says that Eric, like, he's a pushover basically. And then Eric is like, we have to qualify when these are happening. And he's like, you're a pushover sometimes, which shows that, like, Eric
he doesn't say that he's a pushover. He says that he's off-putting.
He's off-putting.
Which is worse. It's worse.
He's off-putting. He's off-putting in certain situations, which is like. But that shows who Andrew is as a person too. He gets to
opposites attract. Also, though, like,
I see. What I mean? Yeah, like, for sure.
I had a point that I was trying to make my way towards, but I can't remember what it was. I think it was mostly just to, like, the flashbacks did the job appropriately and didn't feel as cheap as they did in Split.
Whereas, I think the worst offense was in Split when, like, you want to play fucking wrestle with Uncle?
Yeah, the main point is that, like, no one's going to be traumatized by the flashbacks in this movie, whereas...
Right.
I could see people walking out of Split because of the flashbacks that they're showing in that movie.
Both are heavy. I would say both are heavy, and depending on when you experience them in your life, make them. I mean, with what happened in Split, that is usually a early life traumatization. But also with what's happening in this movie and with what you're talking about, that's something that you deal with your whole. Well, not to say your whole life, but it is something that you deal with your whole life, and you probably will never stop dealing with it until everybody just agrees to be normal and nice. Right. And I would say that they're both traumatizing, and that's like to that effect. They are. I would say that the caricaturation of what it is in this movie is something that they had to do to be able to show swashes of these people's lives over a long period of time. Whereas in Split, it's a very short period of time. They just keep showing the same thing over and over again. And it's like, yeah, we get it. We understand. Stop. We don't need to keep seeing more of this weird Dunder Mifflin employee. Anyway, let's get off of that.
Seasons,
I think I made my
dick
point.
Once again. That fucking actor always plays such a dickhead. Anyway, this is a podcast about the hit film Knock at the Cabin. That was, I really feel like they covered what they needed to cover, but they didn't have a lot of time, because the runtime of the movie is only an hour and 40 minutes. Mm-hmm. You don't want to make a thriller horror hybrid any longer, because then you just sort of get lost in the details. I did have, like, I was kind of taken out of the main story that was happening by the flashbacks, but do understand that the flashbacks are fully necessary to tell the story of why these two men are like this, and where Wen came from is really interesting to me. But I almost felt like the way that they were interjected, they were usually, like, at peak, like, the temperature rises to a certain point in this movie, and then they do a flashback. It felt jarring.
Roller coaster.
It felt, it sort of resets your emotions to go back into a flashback. And I was like, the first fucking plague moment when it's Ron Weasley fucking putting the thing on, like we talked about, and he gets, like, a cutaway head bash, and all the head bashes are shown from, like, with just, like, the arm of the chair blocking it, or, like, a complete cutaway as it's happening. But when Leonard kills himself, it's probably the most graphic death in the movie, right? But they're all very, like, the tension builds and builds, then a thing happens, and then it goes to the cutaway to the flashback. And it's almost like, I don't know if you can do a drama relief the way you can do a comedy
tension relief.
But that's the tension relief, is to kind of reset the scene.
I would say the tension relief or release is that, you have the moment where, they're hitting the head, and you hear the noises, and you see the reactions, and then they slow pan up to the blades being in his head already. You're not seeing the violent act, but you're seeing the aftermath. And, like, most of what Leonard's concern is that they're seeing the aftermath. Like, he often will, put a blanket or pick them up and move them and be like, we got to move them into the other room so they don't see this. And you're like, okay, this man is kind. Like, he does not want these people to see a murdered corpse in front of them.
Just as a funny little thing, though, as a little nitpick, there wasn't nearly enough blood for the amount of viscera that would exist for these murders. Did you guys catch that?
That's how we make this movie PG-13, baby.
It's much like Black Phone.
But I also kind of liked it though, because it's like,
I watched the.
You don't really need that though.
I don't know how much more I would have got.
Necessary for the story.
I don't know how much more I would have got out of this movie had they shown me Ronald Weasley getting brained by two bladed instruments.
Remember how Megan has an R-rated cut, and I saw the PG-13 cut, and you watched the R-rated cut, and they literally just turned up the blood. I feel like this movie,
that was different though. That's a robot doll.
I wasn't finished talking. If this was 2005, there would be the unrated version, the uncut, unrated, not safe.
No, I don't think so. I think that M. Night Shyamalan has always been like I'm gonna make a PG-13 movie, and that's my goal. And he never really goes beyond
anything R-rated.
I think that I think The Happening was like almost got put to R rating, and he was like, all right, I'll tone back the tiger eating that guy's arm or whatever.
People falling off buildings.
But even like the R version that you got released later was like a guy got run over by a lawnmower, but it was just like a guy getting run over by a lawnmower and a bunch of blood comes out. And you're like, okay, that's not gross. Like, you're not seeing someone get fed into a wood chipper like in fucking Fargo or some shit.
I guess, like, where's the line though? Like, where's the if the movie rating board did it differently and they weren't so weirdly conservative about everything, like how much sex and violence and gore should be in a movie? I guess that's
what they need. They need a checklist. Just like you need a checklist for your number system when you give number rating.
Nope.
I want to see your checklist.
They do have a checklist, Kaylin.
And I don't have a checklist. I have it's called a vibe check. That's my checklist.
He just exact opposite of a
Jason just
checklist.
Flicks the tip of his dick every 45 minutes. He's like, vibe check.
Still hard.
Are you still alive?
Still hard. 9 out of 10.
I actually accidentally forgot to write a fake.
I was going to say I accidentally flicked the tip of my dick earlier today.
I mean, who doesn't? Let's see. Oh, it's only 10:30. Cool.
We've got plenty of time. So we talked about the flashback.
Hold on, Steve. Craig, do you have anything you want to say? You've been kind of a silent observer for a lot, and I hope that we're not stepping on anything that you want to bring up.
No, I mean, I'm trying not to interrupt, but I mean, I've brought up stuff like I don't have a ton of notes. I mean, if I want to mention some of my notes and go on a bit of a tangent, I noticed.
Yes, please do.
What I felt about this movie being in the middle of the woods is similar to how I felt about The Strangers. Did you guys see that movie with Liv Tyler and Glenn Howerton briefly?
That's the one where like the strangers show up to the house or whatever, and they're like
in the cabin in the middle of the woods, and it's like 3 a.m. and it's just pitch black. Like I got that same sense of isolation
or whatever.
From this movie. Like immediately, like when the horsemen started walking up, I was like, oh shit! Like they have nowhere to go. They're just stuck in this cabin with these people, which was what I got from The Strangers too, and that it's really engaging. And I don't know. Oh, you know what? I really like the tsunami footage and like the footage of the planes falling.
Mm-hmm.
So like we've been talking about, not showing us the gore, not showing us this and that, but that stuff they show, and I thought they did it perfectly. Like that, I got such a sense of dread from that tsunami footage, even though it made no sense that person would have kept filming until the tsunami was literally hitting
thank God they uploaded it to YouTube before they died.
But it looked breathtaking. I thought it looked so awesome. It was a live stream,
guys. It would have imagine they had like hearts and stuff going up, being like, "Watch out for that!" Like the chat and stuff. That would have been. Maybe they did do that. They like it's making it too comedic. Yeah.
I liked that.
That's the R version. They're like, that's too fucked up.
He's even filming in landscape. Like what a top gentleman or whatever.
The tsunami absolutely looked like it wasn't CGI. It was like a practical. They just did a forced perspective of it.
I think the wave coming was really, really. It was ominous and spooky, and like I'm sure we've all had nightmares where like a wave attacks a shoreline or something. But the thing that freaked me out the most while watching was the planes falling, because I do have that dream all the time of just like multiple planes falling out of the sky.
Well, the crazy thing about that is planes can't just follow the sky like that unless they get hit by an EMP.
I know, and that's why it scared me, because I was like, I know that logically, but in my dreams they just like I'll be driving on the highway and you'll just see like planes.
I have an irrational fear of flying that every time I take off in a plane, I feel like the plane's just going to fall backwards because my fucking
I've never had a
brain.
I've never had a dream where I crash I'm never in the plane when it crashes, but I have dreams all the time where there's like just planes falling out of the sky. So seeing it in a movie
shortly after.
Well, I'm on this chat room right now, and apparently like several other people are having this dream. No, but like it's a scary thing that the visual worked for me and made my stomach kind of feel funny when I was like, whoa, God, this is a thing that I've dreamt before. Yeah.
Like, they're not just like...
Well, they're just tumbling, yeah.
Yeah, they're not falling like how you would imagine a plane to crash. They're just kind of falling out of the sky.
It's like they stopped and then fell.
And it's a good representation of the sky is falling, too. Like, that's a good... Like, when he tells the, like... I wish one of us had the foresight to, like, write down what the actual...
He says the sky will fall... and
like shards of glass,
and shatter on the earth, and the fingers of God will pierce the earth and set it on fire.
So the ocean's gonna punch the land, and all.
Well, that's the first part. I'm talking about the plane part.
We're butchering it. We're doing a butcher.
And then he starts juggling the planets and says, "Fuck the moon," and the moon goes into the sun.
The moon goes into retrogrades, and then everybody buys some patchouli and puts it up the ass.
My son is in Mercury right now.
Okay. Well, Mercury is the name of a stripper I once knew, so that's cool.
I do think it happens that my son is code for...
Please don't let my son go down on me.
Night, everybody.
Someone talk!
The Elton John song.
As a father, that one hit me hard. I gotta go. I mean, we've said it multiple times before, but like throughout the movie, I did keep thinking that something wild was going to happen. Like it's a movie where you can sort of predict what's going to happen next, but because it's an M. Night Shyamalan movie, you're like, am I seeing everything? Am I missing something? Is there something in these broadcasts other than him being like, now that's some good air fried chicken that I'm not supposed to pay attention to, and then later viewings I'll pick up on. And you don't really...
Kansas City Shuffle. You look left and they go right.
But no one ever goes right. You look left and they go left. And you're like, oh, yep, they're going left, all right. And like, that's fine though, because I kept thinking that there was going to be some sort of horrible accident where they're wrestling over the gun and one of them's going to fall. Or one of them's like, when the nurse gets shot and she falls, for some reason in my head, I thought she was going to fall, and then standing in the doorway was going to be the little girl, and she was going to fall as well. Like the bullet went through her and shot the little girl. Like I thought that kind of shit was going to happen. And then it would be up to the two husbands to decide that they had to decide which one to sacrifice, but they'd be in such like a moment of grief where they would like hate each other, and then like the spell wouldn't work. The god spell wouldn't work anymore.
At this point in film history, it might be more worth. Like there was a time when M. Night Shyamalan's name wasn't marqueed over the fucking name of the movie, and I think it should have stayed like that, because the Shyamalan phenomenon has kind of ruined.
It cursed us. Yeah. But also we wouldn't have probably considered this movie as seriously as we have.
But I did, because I'm like Kaylin, where it wasn't... Kaylin didn't even know, and I knew that it was an M. Night Shyamalan movie in the back of my head. Not you know what I mean? Like, I didn't really like...
But that's also not a twist. That's just a thing that would happen. That's not a twist where it's like, oh, then God came down and he was the fourth apocalypse man, and then it turned out the devil was there as well. That would be a twist. But like, her dying wouldn't be a twist. That would just be
a twist would be that they're
happened.
on like a game show.
I have an answer to what you're saying.
That's true. Yeah. It turns out you're on Apocalypse Now.
Apocalypse Now.
Redux.
Redux. Yeah. Oh God, that's funny. So Bautista's a good actor. You guys want to talk about that for a minute?
For a second.
That Dave Bautista. He has.
I'm going to call him a great actor for a wrestler for sure. Best wrestler actor.
I've never even seen any of his wrestling. The first I ever saw him was Guardians.
Ironically,
not a good wrestling with a script in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Ironically, not a great wrestler. Character work in wrestling, fucking top notch. But
so he was an actor first. He was just a big boy.
Well, that's kind of the way that it goes with a lot of wrestlers who become big. It's because their ability to like connect with the audience is the first and foremost thing. But the thing is like if you look at The Rock's career, when The Rock first got into acting, he failed completely. Fell directly on his face and failed.
What are you talking about? Walking Tall, Run Down?
Those are all failures.
What are you talking about? Those
Scorpion King?
Great.
Yeah, you like that.
Scorpion King.
Yeah, but Kalen forgets that just because he likes something doesn't mean it succeeded.
When The Rock came back to do like, I think Scorpion King might have been like kind of the tipping point.
That was the first one, wasn't that the first thing he did?
No, he was in like Southland Tales and fucking the Tooth
Or no, the
Fairy.
Mummy 3. Wasn't he in the Mummy 3 and then Scorpion King?
Scorpion King was Mummy 3. He was
no, that was the second Mummy guy. Second Mummy was the Scorpion King.
Yeah, but that wasn't The Rock though.
But then you got the spin-off like this. Yeah, it was.
Oh, okay, my bad.
So he was in The Mummy 2 as the Scorpion King, and they liked him so much that they made a whole movie called Scorpion King with that terrible CGI.
Rock. Yeah.
That's one of the only movies that I've ever fallen asleep in the movie theater. And I was like, did the statue turn into like a statue that like attacked everybody at the end? And my friends were like, no, it just fell over. And I was like, what? And I was like disappointed by proxy. I've never watched it again.
Was way fucking better.
Yeah. Exactly.
I just pulled up.
Were all these planes falling in the background?
I fell asleep during Ouija 2 or something like that.
I just pulled up. Okay, so right around the time of G.I. Joe and Journey. Oh, even further back.
He wasn't even in the first G.I. Joe. He's in like the third
I know.
one
Okay, but
something.
So
up
to like Tooth Fairy, he's shitty. And he did Faster. That's that meme where he's looking into the back seat. And then he was in Fast 5, I think is the.
He was a character they would bring into like failing franchises, and they'd be like, "Now the Rock's coming." And
so Journey
like,
to the
what?
Center of the
Earth.
The
Rock, I think, was one.
Fast 5 and
Stay Cool.
G.I. Joe Retaliation. But then Pain and Gain is sort
of. Are
of.
you looking at his IMDb right now?
And I'm remembering.
So you're doing it in order.
So the thing is I think it's right around 2015 when he was in San Andreas is when he becomes a leading man who is the just.
Yeah, now look at Dave Bautista's fucking filmography, and it's amazing.
It's all over
Guardians.
Guardians 2.
2049. More Guardians. This movie.
Dune. He's in Dune, man.
He is
in Dune.
I haven't seen the new Dune.
Glasses. In all the best movies, he's got tiny glasses on. He's in Army of the Dead. He's in a movie called
Army of the Dead. Yeah.
He's in Stuber.
He's like the main character in Darny of the Dead. Yeah.
He's in Stuber, which I haven't seen, but it's got Kumail Nanjiani, who's.
Great. I mean, he did his fair share of like, I have to be paired up with a 8-year-old girl. All right, I guess I'll do this. Like he did that a couple of those movies, but like this movie is by far like I didn't want to talk about everything he's done up to this point. I want to talk about this performance. This is like maybe his best performance that I've ever seen.
Cover your ears if you haven't seen Guardians 3, but he kind of has a similar character in Guardians 3, and it shows his range as like a person you feel.
I mean, I would say that he did a good job in Guardians 2 as well.
Absolutely,
like
but
he
Guardians,
I liked him in Guardians 1.
Right, but Guardians 3 relates to this one with his ability to talk to children. That's all. It's not a spoiler. It's just
right. What I mean to say is that like in Guardians 1, he was just like, I am man who's
I don't understand.
And I can do jokes.
But he's funny. That's just funny.
Yeah.
Kalen, I'll tell you right now, it's easy to be funny. It's really hard to make people cry.
It's not easy to be funny. I can tell you right now, it's not easy to be funny.
That's a good
I mean,
point.
I believe you. I believe you.
Exactly.
Like what? I'm a guest here, so I'm not going to hurt anybody's feelings.
That's how hard it is.
I know, but like, okay, so his whole deal in the first movie was that he was just like I'll catch it if it goes over my head or whatever. Like that was his whole shtick was just like.
But also,
lines.
he was low key reading how to be sarcastic. That's
yeah,
the
and then
Drax.
10 years later, he's now giving this performance, which is amazing. Like his tears at the end were real tears, man. He harnessed some sort of acting power that I did not expect from him, and it was good. Like I know what you like, Craig. You said he's the best wrestling actor, but like this performance made me realize that there's a reason why I actually kind of get excited when I see him on a casting sheet for a movie, because I'm like, oh no, he's actually a good actor.
He's electric.
Yeah, he's electric. Yeah, he's electrifying.
Which is
he's
ironic.
the most electrifying man in
That's what I was
sports
going to say.
entertainment.
It's ironic because The Rock is supposed to be the most electrifying man. And then you have we were talking about this in the chat earlier, but like you have John Cena, who did a lot of like I'm a dummy role, and then he did Trainwreck, and he was like a character that was kind of funny, and then he was in the Fast 7 or 8, and he showed a little bit of his range, even though it's a fucking idiot movie. And then Peacemaker was sort of John Cena's coming out.
Yeah, I think that last the last episode of Peacemaker where I saw him like fully like weeping on screen, and I was like, oh, okay, he's actually a good actor as well. But
the only
he hasn't done something like this. Like, do you think John Cena could do this?
I don't think
movie?
John Cena
I don't think so.
I think John Cena has crossed over into the area that The Rock inhabits.
I also never like I'm not a wrestling person, so I'm not like judging it based on their wrestling performances. I'm judging it based on just their
I'm
acting.
judging it based off these are big guys and they do funny things. Like you expect them to be big, like fucking da-da-da, and then they're silly. I find that fucking hilarious.
I agree with Kalen on this one.
I mean, that is how the movie Mr. Nanny got made.
Yeah.
That's my point.
Is that attitude.
Yeah, Mr.
Craig,
Mom.
Thank you. Hulk Hogan made a career out of doing exactly this shtick. However, the difference is...
What do you mean I gotta take care of these kids?
Hulk
Hogan. Calm down. Hulk Hogan was a wrestler.
A pink tat.
Now he's
tutu.
Now he's a maid.
Hulk Hogan is a bad actor. He's just bad at acting, and he was just being Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan sounds like I've heard a lot of like gay porn stars from the 80s, and he has the same voice as like a gay.
Let me tell you something, Mean Gene.
No, like his regular speaking
so
voice, where he's like, "What do you mean I have to do what with what?" I'm like, oh, that sounds like Hulk Hogan.
So,
I've said that multiple times.
The underrated wrestler turned actor of this whole thing is Roddy Piper. He was the original Bautista in the way that he didn't just go in and be in a bunch of other stuff.
Oh man, the washed up wrestler in Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yep. And Hell Comes to Frogtown. Holy
shit. So funny.
We should do Hell Comes to Frogtown, but that has a very problematic
I don't know though, man. He never really made me feel like he was feeling any appropriate emotions beyond I am a wrestler and I'm doing this.
It was a different era though. The wrestlers were
I know, but this isn't
wrestlers.
A different era. This is the era of now, and there are several wrestlers that are trying to become actors.
There
I think that
there aren't very many actors that have crossed over.
There are at least
wrestling's already acting.
There are at least three. There are 3 actors who are trying to become like the new Schwarzeneggers. And
the point I'm trying to make, Steve, is that The Rock is just doing, again, what Hulk Hogan did. And when The Rock first broke in, he was trying to do... He played, like, the gay hairdresser in
Be Cool.
Be Cool, right? Like, he was trying to do different things, but he just doesn't have much range. When you just make him The Rock, when you just make him be The Rock, then you're going to draw all the money, just like in professional wrestling. When you make Dwayne Johnson be The Rock in pro wrestling, you're to draw all the money. I think I
want to watch that Kevin Hart movie because I just like the idea of the two of them making fun of each other.
No, it's hilarious.
That sounds entertaining.
Well, here's the thing, though, is like I like I like The Rock in certain things, but I think The Rock is funny. like I watched what's it called? The
The
one
movie's
where
called
he's
CIA,
he's
right?
not
Jumanji?
Shazam, but he's the
Intelligence?
other Shazam. What's it called?
Black Adam. The movie
Black
blew.
Adam. That movie.
What?
It sucked. It was a really bad movie, but I liked Jumanji. Like I love Jumanji.
Jumanji was awesome.
Him
See,
and
I
Kevin
haven't-
Hart and Jack Black
Yeah,
and
I haven't
what's
seen Jumanji.
Terry Dilliam. What's her
Terry
name?
Gilliam.
Gilliam.
The thing
Yeah.
about Jumanji
Killing
that's
it.
interesting to me, I haven't seen them, but they're acting as
Oh my
You
god!
You haven't
gotta
seen
watch
them?
Jason.
Oh my god,
Jason,
watch
you
them,
gotta watch
Jason.
it.
You're gonna love them.
I know.
I'm
I
with
love
Jason.
It's
I've not
so
seen them.
good. It's so good.
It's like pure childhood fun. Like that's all it is. You're just like
I'm waiting
I'm a
until my
kid
kids are a
again,
bit
like, while
older.
you're watching it.
And I can say that because I have kids. Once my kids are a little bit older, I've got a whole just like backlog of movies that I'm like, we're gonna watch this.
Well,
My
are you
oldest
gonna make
is
them
three.
watch
She's not gonna
the?
sit
that
through
age
Jumanji.
or whatever. It's like, okay, time for this one.
Are you gonna get them to watch the first Jumanji before they watch the new Jumanjis?
Like the Robin Williams ones. See, the thing is, like cinema, it's filming techniques and editing techniques. They've all like everything's been so tightened.
yeah.
Like I remember an old girlfriend I had. She was just 4 years younger than me. I tried to get her to watch the first Mad Max movie, and she couldn't sit through it. I'm like, this is cinematic fucking genius. This movie is so good. She's like, it's too slow. I can't sit through this. So I don't think my kids are gonna sit through the original Jumanji. I'll have to just.
No,
I think they could
haven't
do
seen
it.
The original
I think they
Jumanji,
could
I'm
do
pretty
it.
sure
I
it's got
think they
a good
could do
pace.
it.
Good
you,
pace.
you guys do know my kids better than me,
What?
so I'll
Yeah.
trust you on
I'm
that.
curious now. What
Your
are
kids
some
are, like,
other
both on
movies
TikTok,
on your
like-
list of? Let me introduce these to my kids. Like I don't have kids yet, but like that's something that I've thought about. It's like, ooh,
Human
I
Centipede,
want to
Serbian
be a part
film,
of their-
Human Centipede 3.
three,
only.
Serbian film. That movie where
Serbian film,
Anna
Serbian
de
film,
Armas
Salo,
fucking
120 Days of Sodom.
Yeah, that movie where
yeah, those.
Anna de Armas buries John Wick up to his neck and they blackmail
Yo,
him.
that was a good movie.
Movie is weird.
Seriously though, no. More like kids, but like Harry Potter. Despite
The Sandlot?
opinions about
What about Rookie
J.K.
of the Year?
Rowling.
All right, Kaylin,
What
stop
was that-
naming
what
your
was the-
I
favorite
don't think I've ever
movies.
seen Rookie of the
Yeah.
Year. Sandlot's on the list. Like the Star Wars, I'm not gonna push them into Star Wars. My wife hates Star Wars. I'm a Star Wars fan in that they're good kids movies. I'm not gonna be obsessed about them. But if my kids are like, Luke Skywalker is fucking cool, I'm like, all right, Return of the Jedi. We're watching that next. I'll watch
think
the
that,
Ewoks shit with them too. Those made for
Jumanji
TV
actually
pieces
might
of
be
the
like
crap.
too scary almost, like for like a young child when I think about it.
The
'Cause-
original, you
13.
mean?
No,
Or
they're
the
like
new
it's
ones?
got to be teen, like early teens.
Well,
like,
the original
late-
one, like the way it starts is like it's all about like a kid whose dad is like a piece of shit shoe owner company man. He's like,
Oh, I
That's
don't want
like
to
all right, Alan. He's like a
just...
billionaire or whatever, and he's like, well, one day you're going to understand why I am the way I am, son. And then like he invites his girlfriend over, and then a bunch of bats like suck him into the chimney or whatever. Like, remember that? That's like the beginning of Jumanji.
Oh,
Yeah, I
thought you were
remember
talking
that
about
shit.
shit.
Check
Yeah,
it out.
those
Strikes
cool
Back.
Nikes that fucked up the warehouse.
And then the beginning of the new Jumanji is like video games. We all got detention. Oh, that sucks. Oh God, now we're inside Jumanji.
Hey, have you guys seen Tron?
Yeah, exactly. Anyway,
Tron's on the
Anyway,
list, by the way.
tracks.
Yeah, we're getting close. 20-minute mark.
Yeah, tracks, and also we've stopped talking about the movie, so I'm gonna take us home.
Take us home.
Essentially, what ends up happening is Bautista, Leonard finally like offs himself. He's the final plague. He's the final kill.
Should we? Sorry, if I can interrupt. Should we? Because I don't think we've run down what all 4 plagues have been.
Why don't you tell us about the four?
Or
four
who
plagues?
would
How do we tell the 4?
represented-
So
it's also important, I think, that we talk about which person represented each plague, because I think that
They were wearing appropriate colors. I will say that.
I mean,
They
I
were.
didn't
The
I didn't
first
really
person to
catch
go
on to
down
that,
was-
but like I'm like they're all
was
wearing different colors.
the red
so-
horseman.
was Redmond.
Each horse had different colors. There was a white horse, a black horse, a green horse, and a red horse,
Pale.
according to
Yeah.
Wikipedia. Yeah, so they were all pretty much wearing colors that matched those. So Ron Weasley or Redmond, his name
So
was
he's
Redmond. He had red hair.
war.
He had a red shirt. He was the red horse.
Two
Malice.
spot on. Two spot on.
He's
He was
the red
very on the
guy.
nose.
His name was Red
guy.
Man. I'm the Red Man.
He was the first to sacrifice himself for a plague, and that plague was the tidal waves, the tsunamis, and they showed some mobile footage of that was awesome. The second plague was a
but also if you
virus.
think about like war in general, like the startings
Blood.
of war. Usually
like
it
a
is
bomb
like
going
it
off.
is the coasts that suffer first, the borders of countries and stuff like that.
And literally
nice. I like that. Good point.
they show the ocean. It looks like a nuclear weapon goes off, even though it's
yeah,
like
the way they
earthquake.
show
War.
Yeah, because they called it was like an 8.6 rated
scale
earthquake, 50 miles off the coast. Like that's
then
obviously
like a second one goes off, and it's like, everyone who's on the beach right now. Hopefully, everyone's streaming live to YouTube because this is going to be wild.
they have precious minutes to save themselves, but at least one
to get
person's
their
got
TikTok
their galaxy
followers to
What do you
put
think
those
the best way
mustaches
to save yourself
and
against
sunglasses
tsunami
on them.
What if you like dig toward? What if you dig into the sand towards?
Kalen, shut up! You would have died.
You know how sand works? It's sand.
I think the best way
fast.
to avoid
concrete.
a tsunami is just let it happen and hope that maybe through fluke
have your surfboard with you.
Yeah, just ride it.
Catch that perfect wave,
or
dude.
a gun. You could just like shoot
I
yourself.
can, bros.
Or an oven.
Actually, you know what? I was thinking about it, and there is a very slim chance that like you get smoked by the tsunami and you just get like pulled to the surface and survive.
What if you hide behind the big rock?
You guys are stupid.
Chances are, I'm not stupid. Chances are you're not going to survive it. I'm saying there's a slim chance that you may just.
I am stupid.
I think hiding behind the big rock. I still don't think you're going to survive, but I think that's not a bad idea. I think your
Because then
chances
the big
go up
rock will crash
slightly.
you, and you'll be instantly.
Well, it
dead.
depends. I mean, we're talking how big is the rock, how big is the water. I mean, that's a lot of
The
math
water was
going into
pretty
that
big.
decision, I guess. The water was pretty fucking big. You're right.
What's the
That's
second?
a lot.
And that's a lot of big
water.
math too that you're
That's a
talking
lot
about here.
What's
They
the?
said on the news that like people like 50-foot bluffs or something weren't even safe. So like they were very tall waves. The second plight was a virus.
The virus.
This is what kind of got
something.
me. X29 or whatever.
It was COVID-19.
What got me about
It was
that?
the T
the whole
virus,
guy,
basically. Yeah.
Andrew was like, he's been checking his watch the whole time, and I knew this was happening. I've been following this in the news for weeks. So if he was following it, the virus in the news for like a couple weeks already, like this second, so they didn't make the decision for the second plague, and the second plague comes. Is that just God like being like, okay, I'm turning this virus fatal now?
Yeah, like getting he's like turning the temperature up on
like,
the oven.
everyone's
Like,
infected. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like, have you guys ever played that video game Plague Incorporated?
No,
you
but
play
I know
the
what it
virus,
is.
and you have to
Yeah.
infect the world. It's almost
It
like
is
God
where you're
is
like,
playing
now
that
I'm gonna
game,
make
and
it.
he just like he's like, I got 6.
airborne. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm gonna make it airborne. Oh, I got 6 infection points. I'm gonna turn on some fatal.
Yeah, you
infection.
start with like, I'm gonna make it sexually transmitted first, and then I'm gonna make it like, you know, like
Monkeypox.
if you touch stuff,
Shake
and then,
someone's hand.
and then it's
Monkey AIDS.
airborne.
And then it's
Airborne
air.
is the hardest one to get. You have to like do a lot of research to get the airborne virus up and going.
Yeah.
But
It's a good game, and its sales went up like 400% when COVID happened.
yeah, and then another
that's about
400% when this movie came out.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so that was a virus, and the third one was it looked so cool too. The planes falling out of the sky,
Yeah, the
and
sky.
that's when like Eric started turning right. He was like, I don't
know if they
think
could have
this is
predicted
made up.
this, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I saw him on his laptop earlier. He was putting in
He
some
was checking
sort of
his watch.
flight
They all have watches
simulator.
on.
Yeah.
And then the last plague,
then
they
the
didn't really
fourth
explain
was
what the last
God's-
plague was, right?
The fourth was God
Lightning.
scorching the earth or something, which
Lightning.
Yeah,
instead there's a bunch of
scorching the
lightning.
earth.
Yeah, there's a bunch of lightning. Yeah.
And then, because at the end, when they're in the diner or whatever, it's like the lightning that has been constantly lighting everything on fire has suddenly stopped, and it has no sign of returning. Like there's literally like a line on the news.
And all the planes suddenly stopped crashing.
no, it's like the one plane
The
that
one
didn't
plane
crash.
left in the
No,
sky
I think it
made
was like
it
it was like a
save
No,
bunch
it was
of
planes.
planes.
Russia and Australia. They said the last planes have been reported safe in Russia and
Yeah.
Australia.
Yeah.
So there's
Imagine
at least
being those planes where you're like, oh god, like all the.
Yeah.
It's like, Dad, can you hear me?
They're gonna
Every
blame
single
us for
plane
all
is
of it.
falling out of the sky.
Like if you're that pilot though, if you're one of those pilots, do you get that goddamn parachute out? You're
Oh
just
yeah,
like,
I
fuck
already.
these people.
I mean, if
the
I'm a
pilots-
pilot, I have a parachute on at all.
The
times.
pilots
So
are the
some of
only
those
ones-
planes that might have been safe
Give
might
the
not be safe
planes a
because that pilot
parachute.
just ditched.
We don't even need all the other parachutes. Just give the plane a parachute.
That is fucking genius.
That's genius. The pilots are the only ones that really know what's going on too, if you think about it. Because
Speaking
That's
of
true.
planes,
Yeah.
Why don't they just build the whole plane out of a black box?
Yeah.
It's so indestructible.
And they'll find
Yeah.
it.
Why don't they build the whole ground out of like airbags?
No one go watch Seinfeld after listening to this.
No,
that is an
you've never
original
heard-
Craig
you've
Webster
never heard
joke,
that
by the way.
before. So those are the plagues. They make it out of there. They get to a diner. It starts to rain. They watch right.
Well, you skipped the whole part where did we mention that Eric sacrificed himself? Andrew killed his husband.
Yeah, we need to talk
avoid
about the
society.
end of the movie. Yeah. So after Dave Bautista sends himself to heaven or hell, who knows?
The next like,
does he get to live in like paradise, or is he just dead? Who knows? They don't really
Well,
answer that.
that's the part that's up for debate.
Killing yourself is a sin, so I would say that no, he doesn't get to go to heaven.
If you subscribe to traditional biblical rule, but I don't think that's what this movie's doing.
We have one segment we didn't cover tonight.
Uh-oh.
What segment?
Oh, there's a sound effect for it. Jesus Christ.
Why did it take so long?
The Home Alone of it all.
So the Home Alone of it all, Craig, we've explained it to you before. You know what it is. It's when slaps the blueprints brown and fucking thieves coming.
When shit happens.
I don't know if he knows.
Got it. It's a real Jacob's Ladder situation. That's what you're saying.
So when does the Jacob's Ladder
The
start?
Jacob's Ladder of it all in this movie happens when they pull out a ladder and they climb and say, "What's up, Jacob?" No, the
you need to watch that movie.
I want to watch it. The Home Alone of it all in this movie, in my opinion, is the knock at the cabin. However, I thought it was going to be after Leonard kills himself and the sky starts to turn black. I thought I was like, there's 30 minutes left in this movie, 25 minutes left.
Something's gonna happen.
They're gonna have to like walk the earth or something. But then this actually ties into the ending. It very rapidly goes to Eric being like, "You gotta kill me, man," and Andrew being like, "No, man, kill me, obviously." He's like, "No."
That's exactly how husbands talk to each other.
Yeah.
You gotta kill me, man.
He becomes Jack Nicholson.
No,
for some
brother.
reason. But, yeah, that's...
You are my number one again.
That's basically how that goes down. And
you ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight?
You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
Never rub another man's rhubarb.
I'll be your Huckleberry.
That's when it starts for you, is when the two husbands are trying to kiss each other to death or whatever.
The knock on the door, I think, is the Home Alone of it all. It's very early in the movie. So when the four horsemen of the apocalypse ride across the sky.
You know, I often think about this moment throughout all of our discussions and throughout the watches of the movie. This one was kind of hard because it seems like there could be a bunch, right? But at the same time, it also seems like there could be none. Where I'm like, I don't know. It could be the moment when he shoots his husband. Like that could be the moment where it's like that's when you know it's real sure.
This movie doesn't have a defined 3-act structure, in my opinion, because of the.
Am I supposed to guess when I think the Home Alone of it is? Because I was just like this whole time. I thought you were just telling me.
No, because the last couple of weeks we've turned it into a segment. That's why we have a theme for it.
No, I know we have a theme. Like I know, like it's a theme, but like I thought it was like your theme.
It is, but like,
if it's a topic of discussion, then I'll be more observant moving forward.
I'll give you a call sheet later, but it has sort of morphed into a discussion. I don't know if there's much more to say.
I think for me, it's when Ronald Weasley smashes the window.
I would probably agree with you. I think literally then the title drop not being a title drop, but being a literal knock at the door, knock at the cabin. I think that's a good place to start with. It's
a good Home Alone, but when he smashes it, that's when they're in.
That's
they're
when
in the cabin. They're inside. You know the movie started at that point.
Yeah. That's a good point.
I could also argue that it's the moment where she knocks Eric down and he knocks his head and they're fighting. And then when they all realize that they're like, we're not trying to hurt you, and like everybody sort of realizes like, wait, okay, what's going on then? You're not trying to kill us. That's maybe the Home Alone of it all right there.
Okay. Well,
I would almost argue that it's not because you're questioning it.
All right, well, what's yours then? Wise guy.
The Home Alone of it all, when it all kicks off, when we lay the blueprints down and sprawl them across the table.
Sounds like we're in the intoxication zone, Jason.
No, we're saving,
this is my
we're saving that for a
year.
special occasion.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're all in the intoxication zone. But do you guys have any additional notes before we take her home?
I do have one thing to say that I wanted to bring up earlier. Was the first scene when Leonard and Gwen first meet, and that scene was my favorite scene out of the whole movie. The what's the word I'm looking for when you have this big ass guy and this little ass girl, like that juxtaposition or whatever.
There you go, you found it.
Thank you. Again, I said this earlier. I believed in his big, friendly, giant representation from the beginning. I never
think you have to.
Like, for a second, when Andrew said, "Oh, that was a re-recorded broadcast or whatever," for a second I doubted it. But for the most part, the whole time I believed that they were there for good. But all that shit aside, he comes to her with, and Steven, you mentioned this earlier. He's skilled. He's a teacher. He's a grade 2 teacher. He knows how to deal with children. He knows how to talk to them. He knows how to connect with them, and he displays that perfectly. And not only that, but when she talks about the first thing she says, like, "Oh, Daddy Eric said this" or something like that, and it's like, "Oh, you call your dad by his first name?" And it's like, "Oh, that's how I tell the difference." And then that's when we know that she has 2 fathers. And
you can also see a look on his face, like he's like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah. Oh,
Fuck.
didn't anticipate this.
Almost makes it worse than what he already.
Well, it is because he's gonna be like, they're gonna think
I'm hate crime.
I'm here to kill them,
and they immediately think he's hate criming.
Yeah,
yeah, like,
which is like fair. That's fair, completely
legitimate.
Fair.
That's a legitimate first reaction.
You guys are a crazy cult, a death cult, a suicide cult, who's targeting fucking homosexuals, and you say you're not targeting homosexuals, but clearly you are.
Especially with Redmond slash
literally
exactly with what we know about, with what we learned about him. Yeah, but like when like her the way she describes her upbringing or her family, she talks about her friends. They have one daddy. The thing that really like solidified it / gave me a little bit of a chuckle, but also realism was it was like, oh, even the Disney Channel, they only have one daddy, which I think might be a little bit different now. I think Disney is a little bit more progressive. But
I mean, if you listen to like a Republican, everything is
I don't think
woke. Everything's woke. Everyone's either
Asian like the most
or Indian or black or gay, and you're like, okay, come on.
But the cherry on the top, or whatever the expression is when he's like, does that make you feel bad or whatever? It's like, no, not at all. But my counselor says like, oh, that's so awesome, but I feel like she's saying the opposite, which I immediately connected to with, that's exactly what people are trying to sugarcoat something that they don't.
I mean, I can give you like a real life equivalent to that if you'd like to have one.
I'm hugging you right now.
So a lot of the times when I meet people who I'm not part of their group or whatever, and I let them know that I am gay, they will immediately be like, oh my god, or like, the opposite, which is like, oh, okay, yeah, you don't seem gay. And it's like, it's the same sort of thing where it's like,
out of those 2 reactions, do you have a preference? Like, just
they're both bad.
They both suck. But out of those 2, do you have a preference?
Probably the I didn't you don't seem gay, because like, can I just be like, well, what does that mean? And they'll be like, I guess nothing.
Well, you're not fucking a dude in front of me right now.
Yeah, so exactly.
I didn't think.
Yeah.
Just don't hit on me, okay?
The other one is like, come talk to my girl. And like they try and like make you their friend, and you're like, no. And like that doesn't always happen either. I'm not saying that always happens, but it does happen a lot.
Yeah.
Specifically with people that don't have a lot of interaction with gay people. If you have an interaction with lots of gay people, that never happens. You'll run into a straight person and you won't even know, and you won't know I'm gay, you won't know he's straight, nobody will know because we're all just hanging out together. But if you go to like a suburb in like Caledon or something, and it comes up and somebody brings it up and you say it, everyone loses their fucking minds, and you're like, why is this still happening here? You guys, what year it is, and that aliens exist. We just heard aliens exist, guys. Forget about it.
Actually, I don't want to get on my high horse, but aliens only exist right now because the military wants more money.
Oh shit!
It's
I guess gay rights are void.
They're trying to create a one world order, and also more money for the military.
It's not even like that far-fetched of a conspiracy theory to realize that.
You could sprinkle any conspiracy on top of it.
Yeah, I don't think there's
billionaires are doing what?
Stupid. It's
aliens exist? Oh, good.
Apparently, they're trying to.
You guys want anyone want to start an X-Files rewatch show?
I would love to watch X-Files.
Podcast version called
I want to do it. I just don't know
Files.
Well, maybe if you didn't have two fucking kids, we could just rewatch Blossom Buddies over again. Also, side note, I'll never watch that. Yeah, just live stream.
You just made me something awesome. X-Files.
Also, X-Files would take forever to do a podcast on. So many seasons.
Yeah, I don't. There's 11 if you count the 2 like rebooted seasons.
And there's movies.
A lot of TV.
Listen, guys,
I don't.
We gotta. We're just every time we
gotta get the flip out of here.
I die a little inside. But it's cool. We had a great discussion. Does anybody have any? Oh, actually, we did the thing.
Oh, I wanted to say one thing. Gay actors in stuff playing gay people is very good. I'm not one of those people that is like, only gay actors can play gay people. But when gay actors play gay people in movies, it's a little bit better. Like I feel a little bit better about it, where I'm like, the main issue.
If you're gonna write that role, then why not have someone fill that role? Basically,
my main issue is that when it's a gay role and there's a straight person who's like putting a little bit too much El Dante on it, and I'm like, all right, man, calm down. We all know you've never put a dick in your mouth.
The center.
Yeah, but I was even not certain. I knew one of them was gay, and then I looked up the other one. I'm like, oh, they're both gay. That's pretty nice and good. Like, it's cool that they're both gay. But if when straight people play gay people, it's like they're always just like being a little bit too fabulous about it.
Steve, Andy Rooney in Breakfast at Tiffany's would like a word. Okay.
Oh, you know what?
When he played that really gay Asian man.
When he played that. Nope, don't say it. Okay.
Just want to point out that's not Andy Rooney at all.
It's Shakespeare in Love,
it is.
Where they wouldn't have females
Mickey
playing
Rooney,
female parts.
Where's Andy Rooney?
The guys playing the female.
You were literally shouting over everybody right
now. I thought we were all talking.
No.
Yeah. Is someone not talking?
At any rate.
I wasn't.
Okay. Are we gonna go into our final thoughts now? Because
I wanted to kind of end it on a high note, but apparently
I had to bring up Andy Rooney.
Yeah,
make sure that doesn't happen.
All right, give us a high note, Steve.
It's time for our final thoughts.
This is so nice.
Is it me? I'm first.
Is it?
Yep.
All right.
What
The
about
movie. The movie was enjoyable. I liked it. I liked it actually quite a bit, more than I thought I was going to. I'm glad that I didn't know too much about it before going in, because it made for sort of like a tense and suspicious and mysterious watch where you could sort of like guess what was happening next without like actually being correct every time, which is kind of good. And I guess I would say like dopamine. Yeah. Like, am I going to get it? And sometimes you get it. Sometimes you don't, you feel good, but it was a little bit predictable at the end of the day. There's always like a feeling of like a looming threat, I suppose. Sorry, I'm trying to read this and I can't read it. I'm just gonna put it over here.
Just tell us your feelings.
I think that the hardships of the couple are relatable and good and better than the stuff that we went through with Split. And I think that he's understanding how to deal with things without just throwing a little bit of like, on discount potatoes in the mix to be like, this will work, right? Here we go. Two gay men with a daughter is an interesting concept that has been done a million times in movies before, but like not in a high concept thriller. And I like it a lot, and I liked them both together. They felt believable. There was some weakness in the flashbacks where I was like, okay, you guys are just being like, oh, and they're loving each other. And the ones where it's Andrew being upset a little bit too heavy as well. The daughter was good, and I like that she was also sort of a part of it. She's not the same race as them, which automatically sort of like segregates her from them, but then she also has a physical deformity which segregates her even more, so they're having to love her even more than they would just I was about to say regular child, but like hesitate to say like like a child that looked like them without some sort of like Indiana Jones wound. She had a fucking like lip scar. Like that's intense. And like she even says like she had to have like several surgeries and stuff, and like that's traumatic on its own. So everybody in that family has gone through trauma, and it's cool. It's cool in the sense that it like makes sense for these horsemen to come there. Like I don't really understand the portion where they have to sacrifice themselves, but I do understand that this family is the family that needs to be sacrificed. And for that, I say I enjoyed it. I don't know if I need to go back, but I like the time I spent with it. And I'd like to add that Dave Bautista rules. He's quickly becoming an actor that I become excited about seeing in casting for movies. Every time I hear Dave Bautista in, I'm like, in what? This is definitely his best performance, and I look forward to seeing him in more of these types of movies. I give this movie something that I meant to bring up and didn't bring up. 3 bullets in a gun that magically has a 4th. Because he only loads 3 bullets into that gun, and he kills him with a 4th. Remember that? Yeah. He puts 3 bullets in, he shoots one, he shoots another, he shoots the last one, and then he shoots his husband with a magical 4th bullet that shouldn't have been in
I
that
like
gun.
your attention to detail, continuity.
Although he was fiddling with the gun off camera too, pretty blatantly. So
I know there could have been 6, but I mean you only see 3 go in.
C3 go in, the classic Star Wars character.
C3PO.
Shut up.
No, C3 go in is like C3PO's like dominatrix brother. He's like, my name's C3 go in.
That's
hello.
General Grievous's fucking working title. Speaking of shut up,
Christ.
Kaylin, you're up next.
Was Craig not up? Should I go?
Yes. I'm the host, and I say you go next.
The host says I go next. And this is what I have to say. One thing that I have to say is I do like the representation in this movie. I can't tell you how much, not to say that I hate is a strong word, but
I hope he doesn't say gay
I dislike things being whitewashed. I dislike it a lot. And anyway, I'll leave that alone.
There's 7 white people in this movie.
Yeah, the whole movie's
6 white people.
Like one,
even the black
person
woman was
and
white.
one Asian person.
Well, I
Very
mean,
white
like
movie.
straight whitewashed or whatever.
Straight washed, I guess. Anyway,
Yeah.
sorry. Nobody interrupt Kaylin anymore. Sorry.
Okay.
Oh yeah, and look how gracefully I'm accepting the interruptions. Maybe you should take a note for the future.
Oh, I thought he was going
Nope.
to call you the F
That
slur.
didn't work for that. Anyway,
Oh man,
So-
I was watching some Kids in the Hall before this. They use the F word a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Michael McDonald or whatever his name is, he's
Scott.
Scott, yeah.
The Maniac called you the N-word.
It's his
behind
word.
your
He can
back.
say it.
Yeah.
There is a lore where he invented that word. Kaylin, go on.
no, it's fine. You guys finish your talk. It's fine. I'll wait.
Your F talk.
I
would
mean,
be
you
inappropriate.
keep saying things that are really setting us up for this T-ball over here. Come on.
I know. That's what I do. That's what I bring to the table.
Yeah.
I, for some reason, I'm the culprit of interrupting and get chastised for it, and yet I tee up the interruptions, and it's
Well, I mean, you
fucking
can't say
wonderful.
whitewashed and not use it right. We're going to correct you.
Exactly. So as we continue,
All right.
this movie was seamless as far as production. There was never a moment I wasn't in it. When I found out that it was an M. Night movie, I got excited, but while watching it, I wished I didn't know it was an M. Night Shyamalan movie. All in all, it was solid. It was it was seamless. Production, cinematography, score, camera angles, color, color gradients, the color choice. Everything was seamless. There was nothing to make it deterred. There's nothing that deterred me from enjoying it. It's a watch. I definitely give it a watch. I'm not sure how much, I've rewatched it for this episode, but I'm not sure how much of a buy it is to rewatch it, but it's definitely a watch. My what went well, I put the tension throughout the whole movie. I was and I mentioned it earlier. I was like, you know what? These guys are cool. These guys are I legitimately believe what they're saying. But then there were moments that made me question. I was like, and I wanted to know what was going to happen. What's going to happen? For my even better, M. Night should not put his name on movies anymore. Either I don't mean I don't want this to come out wrong, but unfortunately, because of what I know of his movies already, it sets me up with an expectation. And I would feel better if he's a great director. He's great at making movies. Don't get me wrong. But unfortunately, there's a downside to being great. And moving forward, I would rather not know he had any involvement until afterwards, until the credits roll. I don't want anyone to tell me. I don't want to know at the beginning of the movie.
That would be
Once
cool.
the
That's
movie's
the
done,
M. Night
the credits
Shyamalan
roll,
twist.
directed by
An M. Night
M. Night.
Shyamalan joint right at the end of the credits.
That would be
Oh,
cool.
so you just want to know when he pops up as a cameo, in the middle, hello, it's me
That-
on the
that-
shopping
reveal.
channel. You're like, holy
Be
shit,
there.
is this an M. Night Shyamalan movie?
Didn't even need to be there.
I love that it's. I like knowing it's him, but I mean, I guess we all have our flavors, right? I personally went into this and his fingerprints are everywhere, man, and they're all over that cabin. I loved it.
They are for sure.
Yeah,
They are for sure. And I'm not saying this with I'm not saying this out of malice or whatever. I'm not saying how dare you, or whatever. I'm just saying those are the feelings that came about during this viewing. And all that being said, I give it Saving the World with Love.
I thought you were going to say Saving Private Ryan, the movie.
Kalen, check this out.
The MPAA, everyone. The MPAA. Wow.
54-171.
Nice.
Right.
Perfectly executed.
Thank you, sir.
That was fantastic, Kayla. Craig, before I get to my final thoughts, I'd like to hear from you. I'd like to hear your final thoughts. As you know, on this show, we sometimes will do a rating out of 5. Sometimes we'll do a joke rating. Sometimes we'll rate it.
I never joke.
In summation.
That's why you're so good on the podcast. So you're looking for my final thoughts.
I'm looking for them.
But I'm serious. You can't prove I wasn't being sarcastic. My final thoughts. I mean, I'm fine now. I did go through that period of being like, I just don't want to know when it's an M. Night Shyamalan movie. But I think I'm past that. Like I watched, Sixth Sense, Unbreakable, Signs, and then The Village was the fourth one, right? And then The Village is where I was like, okay, like that's enough of these stupid fights. He's run out of twists. Like fuck this. And I went off him. Didn't watch Lady in the Water. I'm sure there's other movies in the middle there I haven't watched. I didn't watch Old. Is what his last one?
Old is good. You might like Old.
I heard it's good. I want to see it.
I think you mean Avatar: The Last Airbender. I think is what you mean.
Yeah, I'm not watching that.
There's also Oldatar the Old Bender, which is wild.
Not watching that either. That sounds like a very niche porn. No, that's not my niche. But yeah, then I watched like Split and Glass, and I hated both of those. I thought he should have left Unbreakable alone as a one-off movie.
You didn't like Split?
You haven't seen this show before.
No, I did not like Split.
Let him talk.
You guys seem to like. It's not the worst movie ever. They were better than The Village. I'll give them that. But I think especially Glass was.
You didn't like The Village? I actually like The Village. I think it's all right.
But like going through this has been my life cycle
of
of watching Shyamalan movies, and it's kind of just a blank slate now. Like, his first 2 movies are 2 of my favorite movies, and then it kind of petered off. And then I thought he made some shit movies, and now there's this, which is kind of like a reset. I'm like, okay, he's made a good movie again, and Old is supposed to be good. I really want to see that as well. It's kind of like to me, it feels like he's reset himself, and he can put his name on movies again without people expecting that. Oh my God, Bruce Willis was a superhero the whole time. Twist. You thought I was going to say he was dead the whole time. I went to the next.
The thing about Old is like it also has no twist. Like the twist is like
that's the thing. I think he's done a good job of resetting himself.
Because I also want to see it. Please, thank you.
But I think he's done a good job of shedding the twist.
For like 5 fucking years.
Glass didn't have a twist really. It was just the fucking conclusion to it. Whatever superhero trilogy, I guess.
Best superhero trilogy ever.
Did you see The Visit? The
Visit? I haven't even heard of that one.
Holy moly!
You mean Signs, where the alien? Well,
The Visit was like his first after the like debacle where he was like trying to write and get other people to direct. That was his first director. He came back as a director, and he did not put his name on it at all. And he just let the trailer speak for itself, and people were like, "This looks interesting." And then it came out and it did really well, and then everyone was like, "Wait, this was M. Night Shyamalan? Holy fuck, he's back, baby! He's back! He's back!" And they started throwing baseballs to each other. Yeah, it was crazy.
No.
Anyway, Jason, I guess it's your turn.
No. It's not.
So wait a minute. The Visit from 2000 with Billy D. Williams?
No. Is it not The Visit?
No.
Visitor?
I don't think you're talking The
Visitors?
No, The Visit. It's called The Visit.
The Visit. The only movie called The Visit that's been out.
I thought Craig was trying to give us his final thoughts.
There's The Visitor in 2007, but other than that one with Billy D. Williams, nothing.
2015 horror thriller.
2015.
This is not the time for this.
Oh wait, there it is, right at the top.
I went down to the
Found
Billy D. Williams one that I wanted to know about.
Well, IMDb puts these ads at the top of your search results, and then there's one search result above the ads. So I didn't look at that top search result. So that's on IMDb's the way that
Some Catherine Hahn's in it.
3-hour podcast out here, like I am inevitable. Thanos, 20.
All right, Jason's about to snap us out of existence. Go ahead, Jason.
No, Craig has to give us his
my rating. So I think this is a great. I wouldn't say return to form because he's shed the form. It's kind of he's keeping his career alive. I think he's doing well. I'm going to call this a 6.5 to 7 out of 10. Like good, not Sixth Sense or Unbreakable, but certainly better than some of the other crap that he's turned out.
And do you have a what went well, even better? A thing you liked and a thing that could have been better?
Anything that could have been better. Shit, I did have something that I thought could have been better. But I don't think I actually wrote it down. No. Fuck. Sorry, guys. I forgot what my could have been better was going to be.
Okay, I also
on the
but
spot,
I'll interrupt
on
Jason.
The spot, right now, what could have been better?
No, I don't know. I can't fucking think. I've had nine-tenths of a bottle of wine.
That's it. That's fair.
I'm spent.
More apocalypses. I would like to have seen more apocalypses.
Well, it's funny you should say that. I'm going to take us home. Craig, thank you.
Take us home.
First and foremost, when I finished watching this movie, it said, next up, Cocaine Bear on Amazon Prime. So just a weird, fun little... Oh, you...
Yeah, no. For me, Cocaine Bear was the first recommendation when I finished watching the movie.
So
it's the trailer that showed afterwards or whatever.
These movies are intrinsically linked, much like you and I, Craig, because of the television program Blossom.
The Blossom.
This movie explores morality, faith, and belief in a very interesting way. We see that through the myriad thoughts and ideals that we get to really we're seeped in from the get-go. Like, right from Bautista sitting down with Wen. I won't not call him Bautista. I'm really glad I didn't know much about this movie going in. We see character development from all the characters in a really unique way. And the ending was heart-wrenching, honestly. The actors chosen to be the different horsemen were chosen well. And the family they go to in the cabin were also perfect for this. Soundtrack, which we didn't really talk about a lot, Kayla mentioned it, his final thoughts, works overtime in this movie in a unique way. I was like just like sitting with, I think, the second Plague, and then it hit me that like it's one of those like Robert Stack Unsolved Mysteries sort of, the soundtrack creeps into your psyche and sort of really makes you feel the way the movie is supposed to want to make you feel. And it sets the tone.
What about the score?
That's what I mean. What did I say?
Oh, the soundtrack.
Oh, the soundtrack. Right, you're right. The soundtrack, I guess, is that one song that's at the beginning and end, but the score is...
Boogie Shoes.
Yeah, and
I thought you were talking about like the actual like songs, and sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's all good. You're right. I meant score. The soundtrack is literally like the one song.
The score is dope. Yeah, it's really good.
And the song like that we didn't really talk about that end scene, but them like choosing to turn the song on and then realize the gravity of the situation versus the way the music sounds, that like how happy the music is, and then they turn it off, and then ultimately they decide to turn the happy music on and just fucking get.
That's a real M. Night thing to me. Like that seems like an M. Night Shyamalan moment.
Phenomenon.
You know, I'm like, okay, yeah, like a Shyamalan phenomena. You know,
the cinematography.
That's what I say.
Was also really well done with lots of close-ups and cutaways that are like they really show the emotions the people were going through. I really like the feeling of threat and the feeling of unknown. Considering so much was done with a short story, this gets put at a higher rating than I would normally put. Turns out it was a full novel. I read that it was just a short story, but I guess it depends on how many pages are in the book. I've actually condensed my rating system and my joke rating. I give this a 4 horsemen out of 5.
You put them together. Oh!
It's a pretty big
like
deal.
it.
It's a pretty big deal.
I like it.
What went well? The plagues. They marked out the sections of the movie, and you got to meet all the 4 horsemen in a pretty unique way. Even better, you called this so much. You called this earlier, Steve. I would have liked to see the Hell World come in a little further, a little bit more darkening of the sky, a little bit more like, even if it was like literally like they still make the sacrifice. I just wanted like there was the final note that I have here is the really good touch. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but that they keep showing the sky darkening, and they cut down to like them like.
Well, they also do these shots where it's like
that's what I'm
it's
talking
cut
about.
off at the neck, and like it's like the whole.
But you see the whole sky. But did
yeah.
you notice the one last plane comically fall in the background?
It didn't comically fall; it ominously fell. And also, like they do that in the cabin, they do it outside the cabin, they do it at the beginning, they do it throughout the whole movie. They do these shots where it's like just the neck up of the head looking up, and something is there, and like sometimes it'll be Eric, and he'll be like tied behind his arms, and he'll be looking all right, well, that's not nice to say as I'm trying to help your own point you're making, but okay.
Help me at all. I made my point. I'm sorry, that was too harsh. I think I thought it was funny. I thought it was funny. You don't find it funny.
No.
I love you. I love you, and you're right. I thought that it fell comedically, in my opinion.
Oh, I was trying to like the thing you were saying earlier. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It did. It felt funny, like if a plane fell out of the sky. Yeah, and it was like
the way that I mean
falling.
The way that I mean that it's funny is they're like having this heartfelt moment, and the sky is blackening, and like this part of the screen, just a plane like falls as like a
yeah. I was expecting to hear like a crazy explosion or something, and you don't, which is exactly. I think that's the part that makes it kind of like scary to me, is that you don't hear the explosion, or you do sort of hear explosions, but you don't hear that explosion.
No, this ultimately, this cabin is so isolated, but it encroaches by the end of the movie that it's such a cool thing. I honestly think this movie's a 4 out of 5. It was a thriller. It was a horror. You know how I liked genre bending. You know how I liked an amalgamation of concepts in movies. Right from the beginning to the end, I was like captivated by this thing. So, thank you guys for being here tonight. Craig,
thank you for having me.
Craig, I always love to hang out with you. I always love to see you. Everybody give Craig a round of applause for being on the podcast.
Oh, don't give me a round of applause. I barely contributed.
It sounds like our hands are like a huge audience of hands.
Yep.
It sounds like our laughs are like an audience of laughs. And that fart is why is it so much bigger than the rest of it?
Why do I suddenly feel like I'm on I Love Lucy?
Yeah, you are, because we're all jamming chocolates in our mouth. And, for Kaylin and for Stephen, I'm Jason.
For Kaylin, for Jason, and for Craig, I am Stephen.
I'm Jason.
For Stephen and Jason and Craig, I'm Kellen.
For me and nobody else but me, I'm Craig.
I fucking love that.
No, seriously, I love you guys. I can't wait.
Maybe Jason needs to ask.
I'll tell you, it's dialing, and dialing because he spits hot fire.
Jason, who are the top 5 hottest rappers right now?
Dialing. And hey, did you see this one?